This program deals with themes of an adult nature and is intended for a mature audience.
If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on the KTPF Community Talk Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for our new weekly radio shows. The KTPF Community Talk Show is supported by Phenomenon Magazine and Beyond Parazine, available online now.
The KTPF Community Talk Show is sponsored by Dragonos Castle, South Wales, one of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including Fright Nights, all-night investigations and hen parties, visit www.mosthauntedcastle.com.
The comments and views expressed on the KTPF Community Talk Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the views of ourselves or of our sponsors.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They've landed.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk Radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
Get ready, guys. You hear us, we hear you. Good evening, and welcome to the KTPF Community Talk Show, live from Manchester in the UK. Bear with me, thank you. My name is Suzanne.
And I'm Steve.
And I'm Andy.
And we're here keeping the paranormal friendly on www.ktpf.co.uk. We bring you a relaxed show with no pressure, talking about various topics from cryptozoology to UFOs, whilst encouraging our guests and you to share information, advice, and most importantly, friendship. Remember, collaboration, not competition. This show incorporates a wide spectrum within this fascinating subject, so if you have any questions, you can use the live interactive chat room where we will ask our guests for you, or you can Skype in and speak directly to our guests by adding the ktpf.paranormal show to your Skype. Later, we will have a rundown of the latest events, news from paranormaleventsforyou.com. We'd like to acknowledge people in the chat room and listeners at the moment. Welcome to the show. And also our radio replay listeners that will be listening to the show in a couple of days' time. So, Andy, how you been?
I'm fine, not too bad at all. Nice and busy down here with work. It's looking good at the moment. So we've solved the mystery of our dancing washing machine. But
Yes.
temporarily started moving around again this morning, actually. It's fallen apart with a little sort of feet thing. I fixed that, but beyond that, it's all been fine and dandy. We had a brief chat about something unrelated, and they did ask, are you demolishing a wall in your house at the moment? Because of the bloody banging they heard. No, just a rogue washing machine doing a dance. So other than that, it's been fine.
I don't know. And for those of you who remember Andy being in the chat room, he forgoes his bingo on a Sunday night now to join us as a regular contributing host, don't you, Andy?
Indeed, yes, I am here now full time.
Yeah, full time. Okay, so now he's part of the team, and
I find it strange. He becomes part of the team and then he ends up with a possessed washing machine.
I don't know.
I've had things possessed long before now, Steve. So.
Well, don't forget, I just want to mention that Erica Gammon is writing a book about true stories. We mentioned this last week. True ghost stories, and she would like people to come forward with their stories. Obviously, no one wants to be laughed at, as she said, but she can offer complete anonymity if you want it. The only stipulation is the story must be true, and if anyone does want to contact her, then please email at gammonghosts, that's GAMMONS ghosts @gmail.com. And on the subject of books, Endless Love by James MacManus came out last week. Publication date was the 12th of February. A while ago, James the managing director of the Times Literary Supplement, came and joined UK Shadow Seekers a couple of years ago on an investigation to get some insight for a new book he was writing. Well, the finishing article has now arrived on Kindle at £2.99, and we are called Spirit Searchers in the book, and I am Marjorie Wainwright, of all names. He says it's a small part, but important, important part of the story, but we come out fine in it. He's even mentioned our ghost and roast, hasn't he, Steve?
Those were the days.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, we invented a ghost and roast. Some places we used to go to were carveries, so we used to have a carvery before our ghost hunt. So yes, if you fancy having a read of that, you can get it on Kindle at £2.99. So, and it's all about a young lady who moves to the Cotswolds and into an old stable lodgings, and there's a beam in her study, and things start happening, and she's not into the paranormal, but she decides to explore, and obviously comes to a group to find out bits and pieces while she continues her journey to try and find out what's actually going on in her house. So that's what it's all about. So that was interesting. What do you reckon, Andy?
Yeah, sounds good. And the last time I had friends of mine who got themselves involved in a book, it was all rather nasty, so less about that the better. They were featured briefly in, his name now, who wrote a book, Will Store versus the Paranormal. Friends of mine from COTC were involved, and they made it look rather foolish, which I thought was terrible. Wasn't very good at him at all. But they are, as you know, are coming into us next month, I think it is, or May, to have a chat, so perhaps we can talk about that. In fact, I want to talk about that to give them a chance to redress the balance. The fact you've had a more positive experience with a writer is quite nice, because often people don't.
Well, I must admit, I was a bit worried when I first started reading it, because it mentions about names we picked up on an investigation, and it goes on to say that she found out that the names were false, but on further discovery we find out that the names are right, and so we're going to see what goes on, but he assures me that nothing untoward has gone against us. So, but as I say, it is all fiction, as well as a little bit of non-fiction, just for a little bit of insight on, so that he knew what he was doing. So, so yeah, even the names are fiction that actually came up with on the night. So it was just a bit of it was just a bit of an idea of how to write things. So And
anybody out there that's seen the film The Silk Road, that was James's. He wrote that one.
Yes,
Well,
story of George Hogg.
Yes.
Heard of it. I've seen it. I've heard of it, certainly.
Yes. So, but yeah. Well, but back to tonight, okay? And on tonight's show we have Alison Wynne-Ryder returning to offer you a reading live on air. So if you're interested in having a reading, please add us to Skype at ktpf.paranormalshow, and you'll be able to connect. You need to connect with us so she can hear you, and it won't be any good doing it on the phone, unfortunately, because she needs to get your vibe. So if you're interested, just let us know and add us to Skype, and then she can give you a reading live on air. So, but
and congratulations, by the way, Sue.
Why? What have I done now?
You managed to say the word right in this week without getting tongue-tied.
What, anonymity?
That's the one.
Well, hey.
So I put my tongue in right way round. That's what it was. So anyway, and
no Ghost Rider. I am not Homer in the book. just because she's Marge.
Yeah, I didn't catch up on that one.
I don't actually think I'm named in the book.
No, you're just named as the husband.
I'm just the husband.
So
suits me fine.
But our old
I shall keep my anonymity.
Our old medium, who was with us back in the day, it mentions him. I must admit, he became Rob Micklethwaite, and it mentions about this elderly gentleman with a Stetson and a long black coat.
Who was that?
That was old medium, Frank Robbins.
It was Neil then, Neil Mullally.
He didn't necessarily always wear the black coat, but he always wore
The Stetson. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, back with tonight. So we're going to hand you over to Steve for the observations.
Well, here we go. There's your first one. Interesting little picture, this one. Mystery Mine Phantom. Photo was taken by Clint Mason. He says, I was taking pictures while my family was clapping and I caught this. This is untouched. I had about 200 pictures on this camera and this was the only one to show this form. I also checked 5 other cameras that the family had. Some took pictures at the very near the same time and we were standing side by side but do not show this form. Zoom in on the picture and you can see a figure quite clearly. It looks very similar to many of the Mayan gods drawn and carved in stone. I don't know what it is. I have never seen anything before or since on that camera. Makes me think that it's a technical issue with the camera. If it's a reflection, it sure is funny. It looks like it's running along the edge of the pyramid. Well, to me, it looks more like it's sitting, but what do you guys think? Interesting picture all the same.
It's definitely like you're sitting down, isn't it? Almost like I can see a face sort of looking towards sort of my left or right, rather, as I look at it, and a back and a tail, like a little animal sitting there, of an owl or something. But if you go to the page where the pictures on, the owner of the page, I think it's it's a Tumblr site, Curtis, little ghost, which is rather funny. As you move over the picture. But, yeah, it's interesting. It's obviously not sitting on the shelf thing of the pyramid, though. From what I can see, it looks like it's just above one of the shelves or the steps of the pyramid. So, interesting picture, though.
It is, and if it's a technical fault, it's surprising that it only happened with the one picture, considering it took over 200 pictures on that camera. So there you go, that's the first one.
While he's getting his second one, don't forget, guys, if you do have any problems with live stream, because we are beholden to them, just refresh your screen and we'll be back with you as soon as possible.
Okay, guys, most of my ones are quite short, but this one, as it happens, is quite long. This woman back pain was cured by a Victorian ghost doctor reaches out across time to perform surgery. Barbara Phoenix, 59, says she can now take 2 stairs at a time thanks to Dr. Charles, who was born in 1880s. A woman who suffered agonizing back pain for 7 years claims she was cured after being operated on by a ghost doctor from another century. Barbara Phoenix, 59, was blighted by ill health after being diagnosed with fibromyalgia, a long-term condition causing generalized pain and fatigue, in 2007. Mrs. Phoenix assumed she would suffer forever after painkillers failed to have an impact, but after hearing about psychic surgery, she decided to give it a go, and says she can now bound up the stairs 2 at a time. Her husband Alan said fibromyalgia is a long-term condition and there's no cure. This is true. We know people with it ourselves, don't we, Susie?
Yeah.
By late... blimey, that's a strange date. By late 2012, I could barely walk. I looked like 2112 there for a minute. And I rarely left home. All the doctors could say is take more painkillers. And at last I had to stop gardening and decorating. Desperate and in agony, Mrs. Phoenix of Wrexham, North Wales, was prepared to try anything when she heard about a ghost doctor through friends who were interested in the paranormal. On their recommendation, she emailed a man called Vincent Fuller from Reading, Berkshire. Psychic surgeons have no medical training but supposedly channel spirits to help people who were ill, she said. Alan was really supportive. And in June last year, Vincent travelled to Wales to meet me. I invited some friends for support. We gathered in a local hall. The atmosphere was eerily quiet. Mrs. Phoenix said, then something extraordinary happened. A man called Dr. Charles arrived, she said. Speaking through Vincent, Dr. Charles told us he had been born in the 1880s and died aged 86. GP by trade, he had been helping people from the other side ever since. One friend asked why he operated on people when he had trained as a GP. Another wondered if medicine had changed since the 1900s. His answer was, I've got the knowledge of the universe. Satisfied with this explanation, Mrs. Phoenix invited Mr. Fuller to her house a few days later. He told me to lay down on my stomach. Then suddenly Vincent became Dr. Charles. He slipped into a semi-trance, his eyes glazing over, and he circled his hands in the air above me. I felt like my organs were moving, like I was pregnant and the baby was kicking. A woman in a nurse's uniform appeared before Vincent. I could tell she was a spirit. Mrs. Phoenix said an hour later Mr. Fuller slipped out of his trance and she paid him £60. 2 days on she felt terrible, the side effect Mr. Fuller warned her about. But since then the pain has virtually gone and she can bound up the stairs, free from agony for the first time in 7 years. It looked like I'd lived the rest of my life in agony, Mrs. Phoenix said. Now I've been freed by a doctor who died years ago. A spokesman for the Fibromyalgia Association UK, FMA UK, said, it's great to hear someone is no longer suffering from the constant chronic pain and other symptoms associated with fibromyalgia. However, the charity would recommend that anyone that is seeking treatment do it with the help and cooperation of their GP. We have no knowledge of any evidence that supports the use of psychic surgeon with fibromyalgia. There you go. What do you think, guys?
Interesting.
Is psychic surgery true or not?
Well, I have had personal experience of a psychic surgeon, I have to say. Yeah, absolutely. A friend of a chap called Gary Manuel. He's quite a well-known psychic surgeon. Apparently, he's very big over in Scandinavia, and he's got like thousands of followers on Facebook. He used to do some mediumship stuff with me and London Paranormal Society, and we did a place called the Old London Surgery, which has got a proper little surgeries, kind of the old-fashioned style with a big steep sides with a surgeon's table at the bottom, which you used to watch. And they asked for volunteers for a bit of psychic surgery. And I at the time was having pain in my neck, which I suspected might be linked to the fact I've got a back problem when I used to play rugby many years ago. And he isolated the area of what the problem was, which is roughly similar to where the problem actually is, and to sort of poke his fingers in me very, very sharply. And it did feel quite warm, I have to say, unusually warm and quite sharp, but obviously didn't break the skin or anything. And it did feel a bit better afterwards, but I think, to be honest, for me, it was like a kind of a deep tissue massage, like a shiatsu type massage he was doing, and naturally that will loosen any muscular problems up. So it worked in the sense that I back felt a bit better for a while, but whether it was psychic surgery or just good massage, I don't know. I wouldn't like to say. But I was just looking at the actual article itself and scrolled quite right down towards the bottom and saw a photograph of their family. And there's a young lad in the middle who appears to be dressed as a vicar. Now, whether he's actually a vicar, I don't know, but he just looked very young to be a fully ordained vicar. Did you see the picture, Steve?
I did, yeah. I cut loads of bits out of it. I couldn't really shorten it anymore without making it sound weird.
There's a fair bit going on there. The thing is, what I would say, and put my psychotherapist hat on for a moment, is there is definitely a large element of fibromyalgia is down to psychology. It's it's psychological. It is to do with mindset and how you think. So if you believe that you're being genuinely cured by something like psychic surgery, then the chances are it's going to have an effect that's positive and real, because your body is healing itself, because you believe it's working for you. It's known as the placebo effect, which I always think is a terrible term, because a placebo effect is incredibly powerful, because your body can heal itself so much if it genuinely believes something's working. But I do think because a large element of fibromyalgia is psychological, I have worked with it many times, it's usually stress and anxiety related. When you lower stress and anxiety because you believe something's genuinely working for you, for whatever reason, it tends to work for you. So that's what I feel there. If it's a completely physical problem, then I would be interested to see if that actually worked.
Okay, here's one for music fans. Carl Barat claims there is a piano-playing ghost on new Jackal's album. Barat said early versions of the track We Want More features a piano despite being recorded without one. In an interview with Loaded magazine, the Liberties man said, I eventually played piano on it, but before that was added, the engineer pointed out there was a piano playing on the song when there wasn't one in the room. I'm hoping the ghost of Liberati will turn up when we play it live. Barat also divulged that he decided to form the Jackals because he felt uncomfortable making a new solo album and being apologetic about his music. The idea of going around the world with another solo album just seemed so apologetic. Being solo is going, guys. Please listen to this. I'd rather have another band where I can just smash it, he said. So he was with the Libertines and the Dirty Pretty Things. The Libertines I've heard of, but not the other one. What do you think? We've got a ghost piano on his track.
I believe they do like music.
Yep.
I know the most famous occurrences of strange noises on recordings of being made of new albums was when Iron Maiden recorded Number of the Beast. There's all sorts of strange things that link to that, including one story where part of equipment broke down that was necessary for the studio, one of the mixing desks, and to get it repaired it cost them £666, 66 pence. There was apparently strange growling noises heard on the actual Number of the Beast track when they first listened back to the audio, had to re-record it, never trace a cause of the growling. So that one's probably the most famous example of music re-recorded with strange noises on the recordings.
It's a strange figure, that as well. Here we go. British Army dabbled with supernatural trials to help win the war against Hitler. The British Army dabbled with this. During the Battle of Britain and the Blitz, they began tests to see if unexploded bombs and mines could be detected with water divining rods. This is according to the Daily Express. The idea of using the paranormal even reached war leader Winston Churchill's ears, and when victory in Europe was secured, he continued to obsess military boffins for decades. They persevered. They persevered. That's the one. With their efforts to use troops armed with dowsing rods to strike fear in the enemy's hearts for another 30 years, before finally ditching it as unworkable. The notion was inspired in 1940 when officials heard of a policeman using a divining rod to search for victims of a Nazi bombing in Warwick. Word of it reached Herbert Morrison's Civil Defence Department, which reported to Churchill, maybe this is not such a daft idea, as in Devon, witches claimed to have raised the hurricane that destroyed the Armada in 1588. Were they active during the war on what they are doing now to save the nation?
Well, that one simply, Steve, is yes, they did. It's absolutely a fact that Joe Gardner and a few others involved in what would become the Wiccan movement got together on the south coast in Dover, so my brain's not working with it, to carry out a magic ritual in the hopes to fend off the Nazi invasion. It did absolutely happen. It was more propaganda than anything else because they knew that the story would leak back to Germany, and everyone knew at the time that Germany and Hitler was particularly obsessed with the occult, as we talked about on the show previously. So the fact that we'd be using magic to try and fend him off might give him second thoughts. So that definitely did happen in 1944, 43. I can't quite remember the exact date, but certainly that did take place. It was rumoured for many years to have occurred, and it kind of became more public knowledge a few years ago. But yeah, as for 1588 and the hurricane, I doubt it very much because the witches would have been sort of burnt to the stake in those sort of days. So I think that's highly unlikely. But certainly, it could well be that this is a gardening of that very real occasion of using witchcraft and magic to fend off an invading enemy.
It's Ghost Riders mentioned a film called Outpost 11. And when it comes to witchcraft defending the country, who can forget bedknobs and broomsticks?
I was going to say exactly that, actually. That was World War II.
Yes, with the lovely Angela Lansbury.
And that was partly inspired by the Stuart Gardner story. So there you go.
Well, that's it for me, I'm afraid. So back over to Susie.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Steve.
You're welcome.
We've got 5 minutes spare. Just to let you know that the K2PF is supported by Phenomena Magazine and Beyond Parazine, which are both available online now. If you would like to listen if you like what you're listening to, then don't forget to follow us via Facebook and Twitter. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for our weekly radio shows. You can phone in later on if you want to speak to us personally. For our UK listeners, you can call us on 0844 414 3982, or you can Skype in and speak directly to our guests by adding the ktpf.paranormal show. Okay, isn't that right, Andy?
Absolutely. Come on, guys. Ring in, tune in, and join in.
Okay, so
I like that. Ring in, tune in, and join in.
yeah, sounds good that. So
It rhymes.
but there's something else we want to mention. Since we've got a few minutes, what do you reckon, Andy?
Oh, yes, let's dive into that right now. Yes, guys, everyone listening, we are planning and absolutely intend to launch a magazine, online magazine ourselves, the KTPF Paranormal magazine, which will hopefully cover topics, sort of things we talk about on the show. So what we'll have also are parts of the interviews we conduct with our guests. Obviously not all the interview because you want to listen to the show as well, but some of it will be there. So you can certainly download that magazine when it becomes available. But importantly, we are looking for contributions from the viewers and the listeners to our show. We really need people to write in with their own stories, their experiences and their interests, anything paranormal related, paranormal, UFOs, conspiracies, the works. Anything that we talk about on the show, you're more than welcome to write in about. Obviously, we can't guarantee we'll use your material, but if you do, you'll be mentioned both obviously in the magazine and on the show. So if you want to write into us, get in contact with Sue at
publisher@ktpf.co.uk. And don't forget, guys, we already have some contributors online. We have Richard Thomas. He's going to be contributing his works to us. And let me just remind myself what that's going to be on off the top of my head. While I'm looking for that, here it is. A publisher, author, freelance feature writer and columnist who has appeared as a guest on radio shows including Coast to Coast AM, written over 200 columns and also for 14 Times Paranormal magazine and other publications. And also we have Richard Freeman, who is going to be our cryptozoologist in the book. Plus also our guest that's on tonight, Miss Alison Wynne-Ryder, will be contributing her articles as well, including psychic phenomena and angel cards. Won't they? Isn't that right, Andy?
So yes, everybody, get yourself writing. There's no particular length. It can be quite short or longer, and it can be over a number of editions if you like. So whatever you want to write about, please feel free to join in. The first edition will certainly have me discussing the topic of demons and demonology, which is next week's main topic of the show, and also hopefully we'll have some other stuff from current guests who will be on in the next week or so. So the idea is, guys, you'll have a bit of a kind of recap of the previous month with some of the information from the interviews, but obviously not all of it, plus whatever is coming up new. Also, events as well that we mentioned in the show will be able to be advertised there. So come on, guys, get writing and join in. It's hopefully going to be out towards the end of March, our first edition. But watch this space, as they say.
Yes, one thing we also do want is to hear from paranormal groups. We'd like to do a spotlight every month on paranormal groups and also haunted venues, such as Craignos. So if anybody would like to recommend a venue to write up on, we can do that for you, or even send a venue write up in for yourself. And don't forget, groups, if you are out there listening, we would like to do a spotlight on you. So if you want to send us some information, we'll be glad to have you in the book or in the magazine.
Yeah, so that's remember, we want stuff from venues and groups. So as a venue, Viscount.
Yes, Viscount.
Get typing.
Get typing.
And get it sent to us.
So
Indeed.
It's all coming together, isn't it, Andy?
Absolutely. So we are certainly aiming to get our first edition out by the end of March, which will be the April edition. So just watch this space. We've got enough information at the moment, I think, to start already, but we want to make sure we get the best stuff. So
yes.
Everyone, please do write in.
Yes, definitely. So there you have it. That's what's coming up in the near future.
Yes, as you say, it's your show and your magazine.
Yes. Right, now it's time. Go on, what was you going to say, Andy? Go on.
First of all, it's going to be free, just to get that bit in.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be free. Free and online. So it'd be great. So, right, I'm going to try and add to caller. See if we can get Alison on the line. So she's sitting there patiently waiting for us. See what we can do here. So bear with us. Hello.
Spooky noises.
Hello. Is there anybody there?
Hello.
I think we're having problems.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Alison.
Hi.
You're right. You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
I
fine.
am. Can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Great.
Yes.
How are you, Alison? Welcome back to the show. It's been a while.
Thank you. It's really nice to be back on. Yeah, I'm absolutely fine. It's been a beautiful day here in Spain.
Don't rub it in.
Yeah, really enjoying it.
Stop rubbing it in.
I know, yeah.
I don't know. So what have you been up to since we last saw you? You've obviously moved to Spain, started up a new life there. So what made you decide to move to Spain?
A number of reasons. Some of them personal, some health reasons. Because my husband hadn't been well.
Right.
And I mean, we know this area in Spain because we've had an apartment over here for 8 years. So we used to come and holiday here. It was a home from home.
Yeah.
And he'd been trying to persuade me to come over for probably about 8 years since we had the apartment. But it's one of those things where it just didn't feel right with me. And my granddaughters were babies, and I wouldn't come over while they were babies. My daughter needed me there to sort of babysit and look after them. And the time just wasn't right. But then the year before last, round about the Christmas time, I just knew it just felt right. I can't explain it. It's really odd. And I knew it was the right thing to do because when we came to look at houses last January, there was so much synchronicity, even down to the road that we ended up moving is the same name as one of my spirit guides.
Wow.
And that's just one of the things. And
it's good when it does that, doesn't it? When everything starts to fit and it makes you feel a bit more confident about what you're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, dreams as well, because I have prophetic dreams, and the dreams were really, really strong, and everything just felt right and slotted into place. Well, it wasn't quite as easy as that, and we did have a few sort of problems, but everybody does, don't they, on the life's path? But actually feeling that we've made the right decision, we definitely have, and we love it. And putting it into perspective, when I go back to see friends and family, it's only a 2.5 hour flight.
Yeah.
So if I'm missing everybody that much, because obviously I do miss my daughter and my mum and the girls especially, and friends and stuff, then I'll just book a flight and just go over, and it's funny because although I miss them like mad, I'm looking forward to coming back home. This is home now.
Yeah.
Whereas when we first moved, I kept saying that the UK was home, but now here's home, and and I go back to the UK. It's funny, isn't it? It's sort of terminology, isn't it? But like I say, we're really enjoying it. I mean, the weather's just today's been like because it's February, isn't it? And today's been like just trying to explain. A bit like a spring day in the UK, with a bright blue sky, a little bit nippy, especially first thing in the morning and last thing at night, but you can sit out, and I've got a red face today, sitting on the balcony, sun's caught me, so it's not so bad, is it?
John wants to know, how did the G&T go with the homegrown lemon?
Oh God, yeah, because you're following me on Facebook, aren't you? That was just hilarious. And it's a funny story with that. I've always wanted a lemon tree. Yeah. And I used to have one in the tried to have one in the conservatory in the UK, but it just sort of withered and died. And then I had an orange tree, and the same thing happened with that. Yeah. So I thought, well, it's obviously not the right place. So when we moved out here, my mum said, here's some money, get yourself a lemon tree, because she's always known I wanted one. So I did. And it was a tiny, tiny thing when I planted it, probably towards the end of April last year. And you want to see it now. It's grown and grown, and I've watched it flourish and grow. And it's got about 8 lemons on it, big lemons. Yeah, so the first one I sort of chopped off.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday or the day before? Sliced it up and had a cheers with it in my G&T, and it was very nice.
I can just imagine you
Really
relaxing on the patio or something with a G&T as the sun goes down.
Yeah, definitely behind the mountains. It's lovely.
I don't know. So how is it? How has your workshops and that gone? How is for want of a better word, the business sort of thing? How's that taken off?
Yeah, it's. I am extremely busy now. When I first came over, it was a little bit daunting because we had just moved up the road and you moved to a completely different country, a completely different lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know how I was going to sort of promote myself, really. And not just that, but meet like-minded people, spiritual people, because you just levitate towards, like-minded people, don't you? And it just really opened up. It was a bit hard to start with because we moved in the April. I went back to the UK to see family in the May, just in case I was having withdrawal symptoms. Came back in the June, slipped on wet tiles and tore the tendon in my foot. So for 2 months I couldn't walk, was on crutches, and apart from it being really painful, it was I couldn't get out and about. Do you know what I mean? To meet people or to go to events or anything because I was struggling. So I would say probably the beginning of autumn last year, everything just seemed to really take off. Good. Started, getting really, really busy, doing events. I've got quite a few psychic evenings booked. A lady contacted me on Facebook, and I've not met her yet. She's organised these events for me, and I'm going to actually meet her for the first time tomorrow. Jack's her name is. And she sort of found me on Facebook, and she does a lot of promotion work, and she's also an agent. Oh, so she said she hasn't got a medium on her books. She mainly books bands.
Yeah.
She does sort of a lot of music events with bands. So she wanted a medium, and she asked, if I'd be interested, and she's booked me quite a lot of stuff. Yeah. And then a couple of weeks ago, I did a clairvoyant afternoon with a really good friend of mine, Gillian, who's a spirit artist.
Yeah.
She'd come over from the UK, and we did this afternoon of clairvoyance together at an event that was organised by another lady here that I've met that puts events on. And it just seems to be, now meeting the people that, I can help them, they can help me. The psychic events have been going really well. I've got about 4 lined up now. I've given 2 talks to 2 different groups of people. That was this week just gone.
Yeah.
And I did an angel workshop a couple of weeks ago here, and I've got a psychic awareness workshop coming up in May. So it's all really. Oh, and on top of that, I've written my own angel cards, and I've finished them now. There's 40 of them in the deck.
Yeah.
And Gillian, that I mentioned before, has done the artwork for them.
Brilliant.
I'm just going to have one image on the reverse of the card, so each card is going to have the same image on the back of it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep it really simple. They're going to be really small to hold, because everybody that comes to me, when they hold the cards, they go, God, these are big, aren't they? I can't shuffle them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just sort of, I'm listening to what people are saying and trying to, meet their needs, if you like.
Yeah.
They were channeled by the angels, the cards. And I'm really pleased with them. And I'm actually, when I do some of the readings tonight, I'm going to use some of my angel cards. So they're going to be interspersed with other cards that I've got, Doreen Virtue cards and the like. But yeah, I'm gonna do some of mine as well. So that'll be interesting.
Right.
Because they've not been published yet.
No.
They're finished, but they've got to be printed and published.
Yeah.
So hopefully the launch is going to be late spring, early summer this year.
Oh, brilliant.
And I've already got people on the waiting list waiting for them, which is good.
Good. Is there a price for
them? Somebody asked me that yesterday, actually. I said, you know what? I haven't even thought of that. I think it was just a case of, it was like, with my book, when I said to you, I didn't know what the title was going to be, and Spirit just said to me, just write the book and we'll help you with the title. And it's sort of that type of feeling. I tend to go with the flow, and the price hasn't even entered my head until this person asked me yesterday.
Yeah.
But they're going to be reasonably priced. They're not going to be an astronomical amount. And I'll just ask them upstairs, and they'll help me with it.
Now, when it comes, just before we talk about your mediumship and how you get your messages and stuff, just remind everybody who you actually are. You was a rescue medium, wasn't you?
Yeah, I'm co-host on the TV show Rescue Mediums, which was filmed in Canada, but it's aired in Canada, Sweden, the UK. It's usually on CBS Reality in the UK. We never know when it's going to be on. It just comes on the telly, and one of my friends will contact me and say, "Oh, I'm watching you on the telly." So you don't get any, they don't tell you when it's going to be on. They just put it on when they feel like, I think. But they're all repeats. Yeah. Because it's a couple of years since we've finished filming. Yeah. It's also on in a lot more countries throughout the world as well. Yeah. So it's actually out there. A lot of people know about it. We've got a lot of followers, a lot of fans of the show, and it's great. It was like 2 of the best years of my life, really. It was such an opportunity, and talk about jumping off the lily pad and really going for it. Yeah, that's what I did. And I think in life sometimes you just have to do that. I could have stayed in my comfort zone, carrying on working for the police, but I just thought, no, I'm going to grasp this opportunity when it was offered to me, and the best thing that I ever did. Back up. Yeah. What do you mean carrying on working for the police? Yeah. You didn't tell us that bit. Working for the police. I was a civilian manager for the police, and that's how I met my husband, John. He was a custody sergeant. That's how we met. I see. Not working for the police with my psychic abilities, because I find sort of in the UK they don't. The police here don't really sort of take that on board, whereas when we were in Canada, they do, and in America as well. They really do listen to, what mediums are saying, especially when it's, unsolved murder cases and so on. So I was actually physically working for them, actually sat there at a flaming desk. Steve's got a question for you.
No, not really, just an observation. When I first saw the rescue mediums, I thought to myself, who are these dotty old women? But it turned out...
Dotty old women?
Dotty. It turned out that I just had to watch it every week. I really got into it.
Yeah. Good, I'm glad you did. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Dotty, not Dusty, Dotty.
Dotty. Well, less of the old as well.
Yeah. And Andy, did you want to come in here?
I caught my ears about working with the police. I made the same assumption. Do you mean you're working as a medium with the police? But no, obviously not. But I've heard from others that it does occasionally happen that if they are completely stuck, they might happen to turn to a local medium just to see if they can get anything. Just go to a possible avenue. I don't know if Alison's ever experienced anything like that at all.
We helped, not here, but an officer in Canada with a case, but obviously I can't discuss it on air.
No, obviously.
But going back to the UK, the UK police here, everything's got to be evidenced in court. Yeah. They've got to have sort of physical evidence of stuff. And very often, if it's thrown out by CPS, the word of a medium's not really going to hold in court. Because I worked for, I was a civilian manager, but then I also worked in the crime management unit. So I worked, I did a lot of work, contacting CPS and building evidential files, for the police.
Yeah.
And I got my criminal justice qualification as well, so I've done a bit of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
obviously you do your workshops. What's entailed in your workshops? Not the.
Sorry, so that. Yeah.
You still do your workshops?
Yes, I do the workshops. Yeah, I did the angel workshop a couple of weeks ago, and I've got a psychic awareness workshop coming up as well in May, and then there's going to be more angel workshops and so on coming up. And then there's possibly a surprise coming up later on in the year, but I can't say anything about it yet other than that. I'm hoping it's going to be a nice surprise to quite a few people, but I'm still in the throes of getting everything sorted, so hopefully by the next time I'm on KTPF, then I can sort of tell everybody about it.
Brilliant. So what we'll do is we'll get on with the first reading. We've got John. I'm hoping he's ready. We're going to try and add him to this call. This is going to be fun. This is all new technology to me, adding people. So let's hope this works. So I'm going to try and contact John and for you to give him a reading. So bear with me. Let me just find him.
Sure.
As I say, I get worried when I do this.
Don't. Just go with the flow, Suzanne. It'll be fine.
Just in case you cut somebody off.
Yeah, just in case I cut somebody off. Well,
he says he's ready.
He says he's ready. Good. So let me know when you're there, John. Speak to me. So, hello. Are you there?
Hello.
Hey. Right, and hopefully Alison can hear you. So if you want to talk to each
other. I can hear you. So it's John, yeah?
Yes. Hello, Alison.
Yeah, hi. Right, okay, John. I'm going to do, on the show, I'm going to do angel card readings. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. I can hear you, but only just. Is there any chance you could speak a bit?
Can you hear me now?
It's a little bit better, yeah. Right, so the first card that I've turned over for you, John, is the Understanding card. And this is your angel guidance for this one is to examine yourself and your current situation in depth so that you have a clear awareness of the underlying reasons for any challenges and situations that you've faced in life. And it's all about acquainting yourself with facts about situations and attitudes before taking decisions. And also around that, always go with your heart and your gut feeling when you're making decisions rather than letting your head rule your heart. Do you understand all that?
Yes.
Yeah. It's all about self-awareness, basically, which is a necessary foundation on which to build strong relationships, friendships, and also around you at work. You can always ask the angels to help you as well. Have you ever done that?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And also they're saying here to take some time out because you've been really busy and that you tend to take care of everyone else's needs rather than looking after yourself. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're saying that now's the time to stop and take care of yourself. Okay, because you can't sort of take care of other people if you're feeling, if you're not feeling up to how you normally feel around yourself. So it's getting that strength and that power back, and to look after yourself and to take some time out. They're also sort of saying here as well, asking you what it is that you desire in life and to visualize it, so that it'll come about, because it's a common factor that people generally know what they don't. They know what they don't want, but they don't always know exactly what they do want. And even if they do know what they want, sometimes they feel that either they don't deserve it or they're not good enough. And it's those type of sort of destructive feelings that come into play, which will delay the process. Okay. So it's all about, not being negative, being positive thinking along the way. they're telling me that you're a spiritual teacher. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You do. That you either you have done or you are, teaching others about spirituality, and you do work with spirituality every day of your life, basically. That you have the ability to counsel others and help them to awaken their spiritual gifts, even to the point further down the line where you're going to help people with their divine life missions. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. And we have this card is Archangel Jophiel, and he's the angel of self-love and wisdom. And he can help to turn your life around by paying attention to your thoughts. So again, this card is very similar to the other one, where it's talking about holding only positive thoughts. I see there's quite a few new things coming in around you. So make sure that, you feel that, it's going to be positive. It's going to be really, really good. It's going to be, good for you and everybody else concerned as well. And, if you find it difficult to think kindly about yourself, then Archangel Jophiel can help to liberate your mind and outlook from the bonds of programming and conditioning, which are very often not in harmony with the wisdom of your soul. He brings illumination into your life by helping you to change from a negative to a positive frame of mind by strengthening the connection with your higher self. And he helps you to gain self-respect, clarity, and confidence. And, this is a fantastic card, basically, where if you do, what they've asked you to do through the cards and seeing yourself doing well in the terms of manifesting what it is you want in your life, then basically you can literally manifest your dreams for the future. Okay. Is that all right for you?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, John.
Cheers, John.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
Right, well, that was John. These reading.
Yeah.
Well done. It
Yeah.
was a bit low, wasn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't hear him properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could just about hear him. So, if everybody that's listening, if you ring in and you do get the chance of a reading, then if you could speak as clearly as you can,
Yeah.
please, and and it helps me to make a stronger connection with them as well.
It sounded like he was in the shower.
Yes, I heard like a in the background.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Do what, Andy?
It must be raining wherever he is.
It must be raining. I don't know.
Raining. It sounds like it was a thunderstorm going on in the background.
Now, Alison, when it comes to your mediumship, how did it all start for you? Tell us a bit about it. How things started. How does it all work with you? Where do you think you're getting the reading, the voice, not the voices, but the messages from?
Right, okay. I mean, probably be able to talk to you all day about this, but basically, when I was little, there was a lot going on around me that I didn't understand, which when I got older, I realised that the feelings that I had were actual spirit comos. And I've always had vivid dreams, but I didn't actually have anybody that could go and talk to about it, as a child. So I wrote my book, The Quirky Medium, about that very thing, how I became a medium, how I realised that I had the gift. And also in the book I talk about behind the scenes on the show Rescue Mediums as well, so things that people didn't realise, went on, and how we do the filming and what actually happens, when a spirit comes close to you, which is overshadowing, as you will know. I talk about all that on there. So the whole of, how I found out I was psychic is sort of written about in the book. But actual working, specifically with spirit actually came, quite a lot later on in my life. I moved in with John, and he used to work nights. He used to work shifts with the police, and he'd actually gone out on nights this particular night. And I was in bed on my own, and I woke up at, I think it was about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, wondering because I woke up with a start thinking, what on earth's woke me? And then realised that the whole of the bed was shaking with me in it. But before that, there'd been a lot of things going on, like light bulbs sparking, telly was going on and off on its own, hearing like whispers, voices, all sorts of things. So it was getting stronger and stronger. I now know, looking back, that they were actually getting me ready to do this work for them, because obviously it was all leading on to me working on the show, and then eventually going on to do platform work, which was thrown in at the deep end with, to be honest, that. So that all sort of led me to decide to go and learn all about psychic development, so that I'd know how to switch it off. Do you know what I mean? So that I'd know, so it wasn't sort of like I wasn't hearing things or sensing or feeling things constantly. There's a way of actually switching it on and switching it off. And then from that, I was offered the, I only went along for the, when they were actually doing, when they were asking people to go along, to audition for the show, I only went along for the fun of it. I went along for the fun of it and for the experience. And I just couldn't believe it when they picked me, when the network picked me for the show. Yeah. Because I wasn't supposed to get it. I wasn't the one that everybody thought would get it, so I think it shocked everybody, especially me. But things happen for a reason, don't they? And since we've finished filming on the show, like I say, I've written the book. As well as being a psychic medium, I work very, very closely with the angels. I do angel workshops. I've got an angel site, discovertheangels.com, that is being revamped at the moment. So there's a lot of free articles and stuff going on that. I've written the angel cards, as I've said. So there's a lot of stuff going on. But as for talking to spirit, this is the type of thing that when I give the talks to people, because I went to 2 different groups this week to give talks about the work I do, this is the type of thing that I tell them about. Yeah. So basically, it's really hard. It's hard to explain, because when I'm doing platform work, it's along similar lines to when I do one-to-one readings, when I feel or sense or see spirit coming forward, for the client. Yeah. But obviously, when you've got an audience there, you don't always know who the message is for. Sometimes I'll see a light around somebody, or I'll sense spirit around them, so I'll know which direction to go in. But usually, I'll hear a name, or I'll see an image of spirit coming forward, and they'll sort of point out who the message is for. So it's basically it's using all my senses. So I'll see, feel, sense, hear, smell is another one. And actually, this happened to me before when I was getting ready, and I was waiting for you to contact me. Do you actually smell? Who smells like florally smells, like perfume that nobody's wearing, or flowers like a florally smell? Who's had that, Suzanne?
My husband.
I've been smelling that at my desk recently.
Steve.
Yeah, because that's what, as soon as I was getting ready for the show, and I could smell it, and it smelled a little bit like, it was a really nice smell, a little bit like jasmine. But it had like other like flowers in with that. I want to say like a country garden type smell. It was lovely. And I thought, well, I know that's not being given for me. It's obviously for somebody that I'm possibly going to do a reading for on the show. But I had a feeling that you would know, one of you guys would know. Well, so that's interesting, isn't it?
It was definitely me. I even got Sue to come over and smell it herself, which she did. Didn't you? But but before we go any further, you say about, can you give somebody some advice about what people should do if they are hearing voices? Because obviously some people might think they've got a mental illness.
Yeah, well, to be honest, if people are sort of hearing voices to the point where they're hearing them constantly, where it's going over and over in the head, and if it's like really negative stuff, then obviously they need to see a doctor because, they need to get that checked out. But when I say hearing voices, with me, it was a sense of when I was in the house on my own and I'd hear somebody calling me. I heard Alice, and I thought, oh, and very often thought it was John, and then realised he wasn't there. And it turned out it was my spirit guide coming forward. So if people are hearing things or sensing things that are frightening them, or that they're not quite sure what that's all about, but it is attributed to spirit, then the best thing that they can do is to go along to a spiritualist church, join in a group there, because they do psychic development classes, or just go along to an independent psychic development class so that they know how to deal with the gift that they've got, so that they know how to open up to spirit in the right way, and then also to close down again, because it's really important to close down. If you're meditating or you're going into a haunted property, then you don't go in open. If you go in open, then you must make sure that you close down.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. And grounding as well. Grounding is really important when you're doing any spiritual work as well.
Yeah, when we do invest, I always make a point of saying hello as I go in.
Yeah, well, that's nice. You're letting them know that you're there and, that you're friendly. And the thing is, the majority of spirit are friendly. They don't want to hurt us, and they don't want to frighten us.
Yeah.
If there's spirit, like that we dealt with on the show, some of them are just literally stuck because, it could have been something traumatic that happened when they were on the earth plane, or it could be that they were very, very confused, due to an illness or something, and they didn't go to the light. So, we have to sort of have that gentle approach initially. But, it's not all, nice spirit. There are nasty spirits out there as well. And I've been overshadowed by quite a few of those. Yeah. And, it's not a nice experience. But we have to get them to come close so that we can find out, what their story is, so that we can then help to contain them, to then bring somebody forward from the spirit world for them to go to the light. Now, obviously, it's a lot more complicated than that, but I'll be here all night talking about it.
Going back to the smell and everything, Steve's next to me read for, so if you want to continue with that and give him a reading, or over to you.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah.
So when you're ready.
Hello there.
Speak to her.
Hello.
Hello, you're all right. Right, so I'm just shuffling the cards, so just bear with me. Okay.
So what is this smell while you're shuffling?
Yeah, I was going to say before, it could be one of a couple of things. It could be somebody close from the spirit world that's just coming forward. If you've been going through something in your life where you've actually been asking for a little bit of help, then it could be somebody special to you from the spirit world that's coming forward to let you know that they're around you in a caring way and that they're going to help to see you through it. Or it could be, your guardian angel coming forward and, rather than seeing them, you're actually smelling the scent that they come forward with, because that's a big one. When you're dealing with angel energy, that is a big one where you have, like a florally smell around you. But it's interesting that I could smell it, isn't it, before I came on the show?
It wasn't a perfume that I actually recognised. So from anybody.
Yeah, and from that obviously it's nobody on the earth plane that you're aware of.
Yeah.
So I don't need to tell you. You do what you do, and you know that it's otherworldly, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So just let me your cards. Okay. Okay. Now, I'll start with the past card, because with the past card there was a little bit of confusion around that, and a little bit of indecisiveness around something that you didn't have enough information of. And I feel that there's been quite a lot going on around you, that you felt like quite uncomfortable with. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel that's coming to an end now. You're at the end of a cycle in your life. And it's interesting this because they're saying call upon your angels to comfort and guide you to your next step. Well, I feel that your guardian angels come forward with that lovely florally smell to say, hey, I'm here. But you've not actually contacted me yet. You've not actually said, can you help me? Because the angels, you have to ask them for help because we have free will, they can't intervene. So once you start asking for help, then they'll start giving you messages. They'll leave you like tangible signs, like a feather or a butterfly coming near and so on, to let you know that they're around you. And that'll help to guide you to your next step, because they're basically saying here that happiness awaits you now. Okay, but you have to believe in that. They're also saying here that you do deserve the best. So reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and don't compromise. Cooperation is a must, though, within everything that I've been saying, because they're saying here to eliminate any power struggles, conflict or competition, and because it has to be cooperation for the highest good to promote harmony and togetherness and to draw the best from everybody. So it's making it your aim that everyone has a sense of satisfaction from work done, and then you'll be the spreader of goodwill and harmony. Your angel guidance at the moment is to bring people together and explore how you can mutually assist each other. And it's all about the attitude of sharing and teamwork that's going to be really important around you now. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I'm definitely down with that one.
Yeah, okay. Because basically, this is a synchronicity. And synchronicity, we were talking about, I was talking about it before with Suzanne.
Yeah.
It's the divine orchestration of circumstance knocking on the door of your inner knowing. And it's all like, everything that we call coincidences. There's no such thing as coincidence, because it's all mapped out in a certain way. And it's sort of appreciating how harmonious these coincidences actually are. So basically you're being asked to look carefully for the synchronistic events that are on your life path and that will carry on occurring. So whether it's things like phone calls from people and loved ones that are on your mind, reoccurring numbers, songs on the radio that resonate with you, it's all about knowing that divine and loving hands are at work. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have the transformation card. Lots of changes around you, lots of new things coming in. And this is a really lovely one. And it says, as you look into the crystal ball of life, choose only that which comes bearing gifts and fills you with joy. This is your journey, no one else's. So be true to yourself and make choices based on your gut feeling. If it feels right, go for it. And if it doesn't, steer well clear. Things become difficult when we can't let go of the familiar, even when it doesn't serve us. And if your hand is forced and you have no choice but to move on, know that this is the angel's way of telling you that there's something much better around the corner. You are about to move through an incredible journey of self-discovery, and as you ride on the spiritual winds of change with peace in your heart, remember this beautiful. If nothing ever changed, there would be no butterflies. Isn't that lovely?
It is, isn't it?
That's nice.
Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that was all right for you.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Very welcome.
Andy, was it you or Mandy that wanted a reading?
Well, we both can. I'll get Mandy in though to make a change. It was me last time. So hold on a second.
Okay. And if you could possibly do a little one for me, because I've been going through some things, to be honest with you, Alison, and I'm worried about the
already
outcome.
picked up some stuff for you before I came on.
Did you? And
Yeah.
as I say, I'm worried about the outcome, so I'm wondering whether you can let me know on that. But we'll get Mandy on and beforehand and see what we can do.
Okay.
Is she there, Andy?
Not quite.
Andy and Mandy.
Yes, my wife is here.
Oh my goodness. He's a poet.
Andy and Mandy. Hiya, Mandy.
That's all right.
Right, we've got Alison here for you, so I'll leave it to you two.
Hello. Hi. So I'm talking to Mandy, am I?
You are?
Hi, Mandy. Just making sure I know who I'm talking to there. Right, just bear with me because I'm just shuffling the cards, Mandy, okay?
Okay.
I tell you what, with all of you, you're all working extremely hard because with you, Mandy, I've got the time out card again, which I had earlier on. I think it was for John. Basically, you're busy taking care of everybody else rather than yourself. Do you understand that?
Very true.
Yeah, so basically it's to make sure, that you're looking after number one, and that you do actually have some time for yourself,
Right.
And actually, you could actually scale it in, actually specifically scale it in to make sure that, you are actually having some time out.
Right.
Okay. Right, okay. Are you learning something new at the moment, or is there something around you where you've got to actually learn something else?
Not that I can think of.
Right, because this card is all about study and education, and it's all around your life's purpose and personal growth. So if not now, definitely something coming in where you'll have to, I don't mean sort of study hard like you do at, school, college and university. It's going to be something that you'll really enjoy doing, but it is something that's going to be quite new and refreshing around you. But you will have to learn, initially how to do it. But I feel that you'll take it on board. And this is all about the angels guiding you with this process. And, if there's anything around you, that you're concerned about at any time, that this next card is all about asking them for help and to be open to receiving divine guidance and assistance, because you do actually deserve heaven's help. Okay. And then we have the discipline card. This could be sort of general, or it could be around something where you need to have a little bit more discipline in your life. And it's all about, when you have discipline, then freedom comes from that. So basically tune in and ask the angels for help and support so that your life becomes happy and rewarding and divinely directed, because discipline is a key to fulfilling your destiny. Okay. And it could be, that you need to have more discipline with yourself, or you need to have more discipline with other people, learning to say no in the right way and sort of standing your ground, that type of thing. Because that's all about, discipline as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And this card is the imagination card. And the angel's inviting you to use the power of your creative imagination to expand your horizons and actually picture the life that you want. Right. Because when you hold a vision, they can see the clarity of your intention, and they can help to open doors for you that will lead on to other things. And it is your angel wisdom through this to decide what you want. So, it's actually deciding on the desired outcomes and actually looking towards that and seeing yourself in that situation that you want to be in. And the more that you do that, then the more that you'll actually manifest that. Okay. Yeah. So in other words, that actually starts the process of creation. Okay. Right. And then we have the wisdom card, which indicates the need to call upon the wisdom of your soul, as the majority of questions you have in life can be answered from within. Right. It doesn't mean being the cleverest person in the world, but developing your intuition by knowing who you are and what you're capable of, and having the wisdom to love yourself as well as others.
Mm-hmm.
And it's listening to your true feelings, because only then you'll have the courage to make the right decisions and get them right. So it's now time to broaden your horizon by putting aside any doubt about your abilities and clearly making a decision about what you want.
Right.
Know your own mind by standing by what you know is right, which links in with the other card that I got before, you know, where I said about standing your ground and
Yeah.
everything, and you know, discipline, and you know, also being happy in your own skin. So enjoy being the unique individual that you are, and let the wisdom of your true self flow effortlessly through you. And there's a mantra with this, which is lovely. I believe 100% in affirmations and mantras, and this one is: I open my heart and mind to accept wisdom from within. And if you look at it in simple terms, it's going with your gut feeling and going with your heart, isn't it? Because that's inner knowledge and that's your inner wisdom. Always go by that. It's when we let our heads rule our hearts that things start to go wrong.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, we're human and everybody does that, don't they, from time to time. Okay, so I hope that was all right for you, Mandy.
Thank you.
Cheers, Mandy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Cheers. Thank you.
You can go back to your TV now.
I was just getting to the end of called the midwife.
Yes, I love that. And we've not got we just can't get it here, and they don't think they repeat it either. So I'll have to see if anybody's got the link that they can send me, and I can watch it on my laptop at some point.
I mean, I've
I
got
love
BBC iPlayer.
In Merseyside.
No, we don't have it
Oh,
here,
right.
unfortunately. It
I
would be
don't
great
know.
if we did.
I don't know.
It would be great if we did. Yeah.
Right, as I say, me at the moment, I'm going through a bit of a worry period of the possibility of something changing that I don't want to change, and I'm hoping that it doesn't. That's all I can really say on air.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And when anybody comes to me for readings, I'd rather them not tell me anything, because I'd rather see what I'm being given. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if they have a question after that, then that's fine.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I said before, I had got some stuff before you actually came. Before I actually came on the show, you like the floral thing for you know, Ram Steve, but this is for you. So the first card I've got is the worry card, which makes sense with what you've just said, basically.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're worrying about something that you can control, don't put it off anymore. Get to work and put it right, because worrying about the situation will only magnify it, and it might make matters worse. If it's something you can't control, then worrying about it won't make it any better, and you may make yourself ill in the process.
Right. Okay.
So the angels want you to know that help is at hand, and they ask you to trust and believe in their divine intervention.
Okay.
Allow them to carry your burdens up to heaven, where they will decide the best course of action on your behalf.
Right.
Worrying delays the effectiveness of your prayers. So once you've asked the angels for help, you don't need to keep on asking, because this will send the message out that you don't have faith, and again, that might delay the process even further.
Right.
If you ask the angels to send you a sign that your prayers have been heard, they will often send you something like a rainbow as a symbol of peace, harmony, and enlightenment. Allow the angels to free you of mental and physical exhaustion as they speak to your body, mind, and soul, bringing fresh new beginnings of prosperity into your life. And your mantra for this one, Suzanne, is: I paint a rainbow of light within my heart to calm my mind and lift my spirit.
Okay.
That's lovely, isn't it? And do you have crystals?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, because the crystal that goes with this one is the amber or citrine.
Yep, I got that.
Yeah, and the citrine doesn't need cleansing. I carry a piece of citrine around with me all the time, because it's known as the happy and the sunstone, and it's all about all that lovely light coming in around you, It's a beautiful one. It's my favourite crystal, that one.
Okay.
And with this as well, I've been given the number 12, and I've just looked up number 12, and it says, keep your thoughts positive about the future, because what you are thinking influences your future.
Okay.
This is a message to keep your faith and hope strong, because these are strong determining factors right now.
Okay.
And then we have the new venture card, which is coming in.
Yeah.
Something coming in. An opportunity for a new venture has opened up for you, and the angels want you to know that the time is just right for you to embrace it. Whether this new venture has been born out of a change of circumstance that has set you on a new and unexpected path, or whether you have carved a path for yourself using your dreams, vision, and drive, this really can be your moment. Welcome and enjoy every milestone and challenge that lies ahead, and celebrate how each and every one make an important contribution to reaching your goal. Meet whatever uncertainties there are along the way with an open mind, and allow your intuition to guide you. Take a chance, move forward with confidence and patience, and take the help and kindness that will present themselves along the way. No matter how big or small your venture will be, the angels will be with you, offering support, guidance, and love every step of the way. And your mantra for this one is, I believe in myself and I'm ready to step forward on a new adventure.
Okay. Okay. And what was you picking up before?
Go on.
What was you picking up before?
I was picking up, that there was something that was worrying you.
Right. Okay.
That was the thing that I picked up sort of straight away. Yeah. And when I turned over the cards, I got the worry card, and then I got the new venture card.
Right. Okay.
And also we've got new beginnings for you, and all about life being a series of cycles and a time of rebirth, because that's indicated for you. And it may mean a new phase in a relationship, the germination of a fresh idea. And it's saying, don't be afraid to let go of the familiar, because the new can't enter until the old and outworn has departed. And I know what they're saying with that, because before we moved here, I was holding on to the house that we were in, and I was thinking, we've been so happy here, and I don't know how I'm going to let it go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I thought about it, it's just a house, and the energies in it came with me. But once I'd actually realised that and let it go, then everything slotted into place, with us finding the right house, with all the synchronistic things going on around it, and feeling that it's the right time to do it. And I feel that it's going to be the same for you as well.
Right.
And that they are saying, it's sort of like you've been feeling quite fragile, and the fragile life force needs to be protected and nurtured within you.
Right.
And ask, to ask the angels, don't you, Suzanne? You have to ask them for help.
Yeah.
Because when you do, they will help to guide you to the new beginnings in your life.
Okay.
But also leading on from that, I have the fun card, and they're saying you need more fun. You need to take time to enjoy yourself, relax, and find your sense of humour. Treat things lightly. I feel that it's literally been work with you.
Yeah.
And they're saying that fun brings lightness of spirit, and the most difficult situations can be eased if you see the funny side of things. So it's all about, and also when you have fun, you'll be able to feel and sense the angels around you more and more, and your spirit guides. It's when you're worrying about things, it's like you cut off everything. But when you think, right, well, I can't, worrying about it's not going to make it any better. I'll deal with it, or if you can deal with it, or I'll just go with the flow. Then things tend to happen more naturally, in a natural way, so that you can move along your life path a lot more easily.
Right.
So do you understand all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Andy would like a reading, but he's got some questions for you as well, Alison.
Okay. What time is it? Because I've got to be off about 1:30.
Right,
What
okay.
time are we on?
Do you want to
Pardon?
just go with the questions then, Andy, and we'll get your reading next time?
Well, probably the other way around, actually, because my questions would probably take more than 5 minutes.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, and the only thing I was going to say to Alison is she speaks very much about angels, and are you talking about Judeo-Christian angels from the Bible?
I am. Well, it depends which way you look at it. There's people that believe in angels that aren't particularly religious. So angels are actually beings of light.
Right.
So if somebody says they see an angel with wings and a halo and everything, that's just how they present themselves to you. It doesn't mean that that's how they actually are. They can present themselves to you in any form that they wish to. And I work with the angels. When I say I work with the angels, I work with my guardian angel. And, when I wrote the angel cards and when I work with them on the workshops, I just receive messages in a very similar way that I do from spirit, in that the messages will just come directly through. But when I feel them around me, it's a different feeling. I can't explain it other than that, because I do healing as well. I do. I'm a Reiki master, so I do Reiki, and I also do angelic healing, Reiki healing, angelic Reiki healing. Okay. So I work with the angels from a healing perspective as well as, teaching people about angel energy. So basically, to believe in the angels, you don't have to be religious, in the same way that, if you are a spiritual person, it doesn't mean to say that you have to go to church every week and that you have to worship a particular god or deity or what have you. And I just believe that everybody should, everybody in the world should have a choice to believe in what they want to believe in. And if they're happy doing that, then I feel that that's the main thing. Yeah?
Right, okay.
Yeah, a brief reading. Have time.
And have you got time for a brief reading, he says?
Yeah, I can, I'll just shuffle the cards and I'll just pick sort of 3 cards at random.
Yeah.
Perhaps next time you're on, though, I have some more detailed questions I like to talk about, because, this has always fascinated me. I have certain abilities myself, and I often question the origin and what they are. So perhaps a longer chat about that another time would be great.
Yeah, well, next time we'll have less readings and more Alison. Maybe just have 1 or 2 readings next time.
Does Alison know that I'm now a regular co-presenter as well, not just some flop off
I'm
the
not
street?
sure whether she does or not. So, there's 3 of us now, Alison.
Pardon?
There's 3 of us now that do the show, so...
Oh, right, okay. Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I am the 3.
Right, okay. I have the sleep card for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly. I'm on Skype as well, so you should be hearing me very clearly.
Okay. So, one of the meanings behind this card could be that you need to relax more and have a restful night's sleep. If emotional problems keep you awake, ask the angels to carry your burdens away and help give you solutions to everything that's troubling you through your dreams. Make sure that you're not working too hard during the day or taking other people's burdens on board, because this in itself will make you feel drained. If you sleep well or very deeply and remember your dreams, it could be that your angel is giving you messages while you're asleep, which they ask you to look up the meanings, behind them. This is just one of the ways that the angels can communicate, as your subconscious mind is more receptive to messages from a higher plane. It's a good idea to keep a dream diary and jot your dreams down. And this is something that I teach, when I'm doing the angel workshops, so you don't forget them when you've written them down. And also to look at what they mean, because that will aid in understanding the divine message left for you from the angels. And they're talking about, spending time alone. When you do spend time alone, try and spend as much time alone in nature, either meditating about your desires and intentions, and asking the angels to help to give you a positive perspective on everything, and to be open to giving and receiving love, because this one says either a new romance is imminent with a newcomer, or no, I've not finished, or it's through reignited passion in an existing relationship. So it's all about, spending sort of quality time together and, sort of reigniting passion if that's sort of, if that's what's needed. And then we have the Archangel Raphael card. He's the healer. He's of the green ray. And if there are any physical challenges in your life or anybody that's close to you, that either in your family or friends or work, around you at work, then he will help you to deal and heal those physical challenges. Okay?
Okay.
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 Well,
So, Alison, just briefly, can you give us your contact details, my darling?
Yes, I can do. I have two websites. One is my blogger website, which is a bit of a mouthful, really. It's the Quirky Medium blogspot. The quirkymedium.blogspot.co.uk. But if people want to contact me, all they need to do is to go on Google and just type in the Quirky Medium Alison Wynne-Ryder, and it'll probably take them straight to the website.
Right.
And the other website is the Angel website, which is discovertheangels.com. And we're rebuilding that now, so it's having a new facelift. So that'll probably be live in a couple of weeks. But if they go onto the Discover the Angels one, the link to the other website's on there anyway on the home page. So that's how people can contact me, because if they send me a message on that or they want to book a reading or whatever, then it will go straight to my email.
Okay.
So,
well, thanks a lot, Alison, and thank you for offering to contribute to our new magazine.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to read it as well. It's going to be amazing.
Cheers, my darling. You take care.
Oh,
enjoy
all
the
right.
sun. Huh.
Pardon?
I said
Sorry?
enjoy the sun. Huh.
Yes.
Take care, my love.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheerio,
Bye now.
Alison.
Bye.
Well, that was Alison Wynne-Ryder. Great to have her back on the show. Wasn't it, really? And
Yes.
she managed to get us all in there. Basically, we decided to have a reading because, depending on who was coming forward. Obviously, we would have stepped back if other people wanted one. So,
Another thing I was going to say that was quite interesting. What she said for me was that she kind of saying you should be doing this, you need to do that, and everything she said, I do. I already do. So it's like a reading of me, not any kind of future for me.
I actually wondered whether she picked up on a bit of you for Mandy's, actually, when she was saying about
which bit?
new learning, learning new stuff.
God, I don't want to know anything more. Jesus, my brain's going to explode.
I must admit, I'm on about with the magazine and that, trying to get, get it up and what have you.
Yeah, learn to use iStudio. Yeah. That's fun.
So I wonder whether she picked up on that,
Mandy about having to sort of slow down a bit and take some more time for herself. Absolutely, she definitely needs to.
So,
just come to the tail end of a very major project at work that was running her ragged for the last few months, and she's not really found down from that yet. It was a few weeks ago now. Okay. But certainly everything pretty much she said about me is true now. It's actually happening at this moment. So it's more of an hour.
Yeah. So,
having said that, it was just a quick 3 cards.
It was just a quick 3 cards, wasn't it, for you?
One, was it?
So,
the one card, I think, was the sleeper card. So.
Anyway, that was this week's guest. Next week, guys, just to let you know what's coming up next week, Larry Warren's back on the show. Larry is the one and only whistleblower whose actions first broke the story worldwide of the UK's best known and best documented UFO event, the Rendlesham Forest incident, and he co-authored the best-selling book Left at East Gate, a first-hand account of the Rendlesham Forest UFO incident and its cover-up and investigation. We're going to find out more about what he saw on that fateful night back in December 1980, I think it was. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's going to tell us more about that. It was 1980, wasn't it?
Yeah, 27th.
Yes.
So the first night.
So please join us for that. We're going to hopefully get a blow-by-blow account of what he saw and what happened and everything.
Yeah, please do. This could be his very last interview that he's going to do on the subject.
Yes.
So if you want to know, tune in.
Yes. So right, we'll be back after these words.
Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store is a one-stop shop for all of your ghost hunting gadgetry needs. Run by ghost hunters for ghost hunters, the shop is filled with all of the latest in investigation equipment, shipped in from all around the world, from high-quality digital dictaphones to EMF pumps, infrared illuminators to laser grid pens, CCTV equipment to data loggers. All of our equipment has already been imported, so you can buy it safe in the knowledge that there will be no hidden costs. And with our postage promise, you'll never pay more than the actual postage price. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.
Yeah, that's words from our friends down there in East Sussex. So if you want some gadgets, then contact them. So right, so as I say, next week we've got Larry Warren on.
Yes.
Which will be good.
Yes,
Andy's looking forward to
Yes,
that
we
one.
want lots of questions about what happened on the night.
Aren't you, Andy?
Absolutely, yes. It's nice to really hear firsthand from someone who's clearly very involved in whatever the hell was going on down there that night. Because I think it was first of 3 nights. I think was his second night of the 3. I think he was involved in.
Yes.
But certainly there is lots of variations, shall we say, in the story of the events, even though most of it was all first hand. But of course, we have to thank Larry for releasing the recordings from the chap who was in charge of the base on the night. His name is escaping me at the moment, but thanks to him, that became available. So.
Yeah, and we'll see if we can concentrate on the actual events this time.
Yes.
There's lots of other things going on when we were on last time.
Yeah.
Get tacked up with the he said, she said, didn't it, a little bit?
Yes, there was quite a bit of that.
So
through no fault of his own, obviously, it was
no,
other
certainly
people
sounds
that
like
trying to discredit
whatever. Sorry,
trying to discredit things.
Yes, for whatever reason there seems to be controversy. I say whatever reason there's controversy. Of course, there's controversy, but there does seem to be lots of tangled issues, shall we say?
Yeah. And the strange thing is it always seems to come up whenever Larry sticks his head above the parapet.
Indeed. It's unfortunate, really, that the person who was brave enough to actually step forward and say, "Well, this really did happen," because the word was around for quite some time that something had happened. So I actually have a friend who lives in the area, and the story got out to the local press fairly soon afterwards. And he came head above the parapet and said, "Look, this is genuine, guys. It's really happened." And then he just came to get attacked by so many different people.
Right. So more about that next week. Right, what we're going to do now, we're going to let you know what's coming up in the next couple of weeks on ParanormalEventsForYou.com. Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at ParanormalEventsForYou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Well, first up on the 27th of February, the SS Nomadic Ghost Hunt with NIPRA in Belfast. 28th of February, Into the Shadows Paranormal UK are doing a taster session on Pendle Hill. Hope it's not too cold for them with the pending weather. Hoping it's not snowing. On the 28th of February, Trident Paranormal are at Chambercombe Manor in North Devon. Every Friday evening, there is a mediumship night at Earth Angels, Lunsey Road, Basildon. Derek Acora kicks off his Psychic Ether tour on the 6th of March at the Middleton Arena in Manchester. Then he's off to the Town Hall, Alloa, on the 13th of March. Tony Stockwell's still continuing his tour throughout the UK. You can check out where he is on it via his website. The Bohemian Bazaar will be opening at the Grand Pavilion in Matlock Bath from March 2015, where there will be the usual alternative stalls such as holistic therapies, Reiki healing, bamboo massage, etc., plus pagan gothic giftware, homemade arts and crafts, plus lots more, including some unusual and unique items. That's on the 7th and 8th of March. Also on the 7th and 8th of March, Mysterious Earth Conference 2015 at Grimsarg Village Hall, Grimsarg in Preston. For more details, visit Megalithic Tours. And for more details on these and other events, visit ParanormalEventsForYou.com. ParanormalEventsForYou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. ParanormalEventsForYou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Yeah, some more about that Bohemian Bonanza.
Bonanza? Bazaar.
But I keep saying Bonanza for some reason. Bohemian
Yeah.
Bazaar.
Sure.
It's been that. Well, it's been just basically a fair there sort of thing. All last year, wasn't there, Steve? But
Yeah.
it's been relaunched as the Bohemian Bazaar at the Grand Pavilion in Matlock Baths. And as I said, they'll be there from March 7th and 8th, and then on the 21st and 22nd. They'll be doing roughly 2 a month. So why don't you get down there and have a look? You will always be able to come and have your tarot or oracle read, rather. And there will be talks, demos and workshops available for you to attend to. And that's at the Bohemian Bazaar, Grand Pavilion, South Parade, Matlock Baths, DE4 3NR. So why don't you pop down? Matlock Baths quite an interesting place as well, isn't it?
It is indeed.
So have you ever been to Matlock Baths, Andy?
No, where is it?
It's
Matlock.
It's near Matlock.
Where's Matlock?
It's in Derbyshire.
It's in Derbyshire.
Is that north, is us? I get
Yeah.
confusion, I get.
It's basically a little village situated south of Matlock. But when I say a village, it's quite weird because it's basically a road, yeah, and it's got loads of shops, antique shops, and aquariums and stuff like that, and they've got Gulliver's Kingdoms in Matlock Baths.
Fish shops.
So, but there's fish shops and stuff like that, and it's just one road, and basically near the end of the year they have like their own illuminations, and it gets packed. Sundays is like packed. Bikers love it there for some reason.
It's the Derbyshire version of Brighton when it comes to bikers.
Yeah,
you get hundreds of them there every weekend.
And the scenery is stunning, and the village is a designated conservation area. A great deal has been done to conserve and protect the buildings from decline. There is something in Matlock Bath to suit every taste, from museums to amusements. They lived quite happily side by side because the conservation area guidelines keep control of any excessive promotional activity that might jar the aesthetics. If that's
Yes,
the right word.
Aesthetics, yes.
TTGH has just said it's got a steam railway.
Yes, it has. So
very nice.
It's a very nice little place. So, when you pop up, we might take you there.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Pop over there. What do you reckon, Steve?
Yeah, why not?
Take a day over there and you can have a look. I don't know if they've got any bookshelves, though.
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any.
They might have one in Matlock. You never know. I'll have to have
a little
look.
one you found for me last time was fantastic. So.
Eh?
The little one you found last time is fantastic. So don't tell anyone where it is because it's mine.
I'll have a look, see if they've got any little second-hand bookshops in Matlock. So
they probably have in Matlock, but not the Bath.
So anyway, I think it's time for our Andy to do his thing. Over to you.
Okay, guys. Well, having had a good trawl around the old hinty net to see what strangeness I could find, this first one actually comes via Steve. He sent it to me, but I think it's rather fascinating. So have a look at this. It's TV shoot interrupted by UFO in Lima, Peru. Filming for a TV show Alto El Crimen in the Forest district of Lima, Peru was interrupted when the production team noticed a UFO hovering in the sky. The sighting occurred in the morning of the 10th of February and was reported by witnesses by several members of the production crew, including the show's host, who was actually a Peruvian congressman. You can see a photograph of the object itself. It kind of looks a bit purpley. Peru This Week magazine described Rodriguez had just begun filming for his program when his camera got distracted by something floating in the distant sky. They postponed the filming for a few months to take a better look at the floating object. Witnesses were bewildered by the strange aerial object. They managed to record a video of the UFO with cameras and cell phones. So there's actually several shots of it, several clips and I assume, different angles of the object. Now, if you watch them through, they're quite fascinating because the object itself doesn't appear to be moving. It seems to be completely stationary in the sky. And just to carry on reading it, the videos of the object were uploaded to YouTube by a member of the production crew. Although the videos were in 1080 p HD videos, the recordings themselves weren't particularly good. Basically, it's just saying, why didn't they use the proper cameras? Which is an interesting point. Why didn't they use the professional cameras instead just uploading the video footage from people's telephones? But the interesting thing I noticed in the video footage was that the object itself doesn't appear to be moving, but it seems to suddenly go from one spot to a different spot if you watch the different clips. I was trying to work out if it was just another camera, but no, it does appear to move without any kind of time delay with its movement. It's in one spot, then it's in another. Some people have suggested it might be a hoax. Others have said perhaps it's a drone or a paraglider from a nearby beach, or even a plastic bag. But the fact that it seems to be completely still, I think, kind of rules out those three. But it's quite interesting. Now, witnesses doubt the possibilities because they say the object was too large and remained in the sky for nearly 2 hours. Now, how they can say how large it is, I don't know, because it was obviously very much at a distance. But they say it remained in the sky for 2 hours. Well, that was quite a fascinating one. So, Steve, did you watch the video footage?
I did, yes. It's I kind of agree with you. It doesn't seem to be actually doing anything apart from hanging in the sky most of the time.
If you click on one of the first one, once you watch it through, it gives you another link to a different piece of video footage, which I won't put on here, but you can find for yourselves, which is 6 minutes long, which appears to have been all the tapes sliced together, and they've used motion stabilizing software so that the image remains completely still whilst the camera appears to sort of move about. So it's focused on the object, and it clearly isn't moving at all. So it's quite interesting to sit there for 2 hours. And that was my first little discovery, which I thought was rather fascinating. The second one I did find, but Steve also sent to me because I think it was rather fascinating. And there's probably more of a slightly sinister story behind this one. But here's the link, just coming up now. Oh, there we go. It is just coming up as soon as I can get it to work. Sorry guys. Okay. Klingon spacecraft is photographed in sky over Cornwall, which shows the image. It's taken from the Metro newspaper and clearly shows the image in the top right corner of the picture. What appears to be a spacecraft filled with warlike Klingons has been photographed in the sky over Cornwall. The chilling image of a triangular craft which may foreshadow an invasion of our planet by the fictional species from Star Trek was uploaded on Facebook on Tuesday. Sharp-brained UFOs have suggested it might be the Russian bomber that was actually sighted and had to be led away from our coastline during the week. But the guy who uploaded the footage says that he just received it from a person imbued and has no idea what the object is, or has anyone got any ideas of the object. So there we go. It was taken on the Summerlays Beach, Bude, North Cornwall on the 17th of February 2005 and looks triangular. And underneath that there's a picture of a Klingon spaceship, in case you forgot what they look like. You've never seen Star Wars before. Star Trek even. Star Wars, my God, that's an anathema to say that. Star Trek. It's the second time I have witnessed in North Cornwall in the last 2 weeks. Nigel Watson, author of UFO Investigation Manual. Now, you notice how the UFO writers and authors of this and that always get their oar into these kind of stories, don't they? The picture has sparked a lot of discussion on Facebook, with people suggesting it's a bird, a kite, a jet aircraft flying towards the camera, and almost inevitably a drone. Now, this is interesting because it does look like we now have new let's what blame UFOs on. But it used to be years ago, it was always the weather balloon. Now it's going to be let's blame it on the drone. So it's going to be drones. Every time we see a UFO now, you're actually seeing drones. Anyway.
Well, if it is a drone, it would be quite big if you consider the size that it is in the picture.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's difficult, again, because it's a smallish object in terms of distance. There's nothing nearby to give you a sense of scale. It could be bloody small very close or huge in the distance. I'm inclined to think it's more likely to have been the Russian bombers that did actually get spotted over the Cornish coast, and the RAF was scrambled in order to escort the planes out of the area. So I suspect it's probably going to be that. The rest of the article then goes on about other UFO sightings, so I shan't go delving deep into that. But I think the fact that we have got a very real possibility that the Russians are buzzing around just outside our airspace means that could be one of those. The only thing I find very disturbing is how close it must have got, if that is a Russian bomber, how close it got to our coastline. Because, I mean, knowing the rough size of a plane, that is pretty big. It's pretty low and pretty close, if it is a Russian bomber. So there you go. What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah, it's just how far out is our airspace? Because the bombs are supposedly only just entered it.
Well, a fair distance out, because obviously you should be far away enough that they can't actually launch any kind of attack upon us. So, as far as I understand it, it's a fair way distant out. So that one would be well inside if that really is definitely a bomber. So,
well,
I do find that rather disturbing.
I would have thought they can launch an attack from over France.
Well, yes. They're, of course, you talk about the coastline there. The bit between English Channel can only be 10 miles out our airspace, 10 miles out their airspace. They must meet in the middle. But it's certainly the fact that why the hell the Russians are buzzing around near us at all is rather disturbing. I thought we'd seen the end of those days, but
yeah, they made the excuse it was a routine op, didn't they?
Well, they would say that, wouldn't they?
And they wouldn't say that if you shot it out of the sky, though, would they?
Well, no, we could be looking at World War III if that happened, though. So that's that doesn't happen. Anyway, I think we'll get away from this rather serious and sinister stuff to a little less sinister. Although it still might be very sinister. Let's have a look. My next little story, which I thought was quite interesting, is just coming up on screen as I waffle away to fill the airspace. But did a spaceship, in capital letters, really land in Prince Charles's uncle's garden? Prince Charles secretly subscribed to a UFO magazine, apparently, allegedly, to say, in case there's any lawyers listening, after a spaceship was said to have landed in his murdered uncle's garden, it was claimed yesterday. And this is actually about a week ago. Charles, 66, in case you've forgotten, and his dad, Prince Philip, 93, allegedly had a flying saucer review posted in an unmarked envelope after tragic Lord Mountbatten saw an interstellar craft. The astonishing claim was made by a retired doctor turned UFO expert, and this is why I posted it, Stephen Greer. Stephen Greer is a friend of someone who was on the show a couple weeks ago, I do believe. Mr. Greer is someone hoping to get on, Dr. Greer, I should say, someone hoping to get on the show at some point. Especially after this, because he also said that he happily supplied Prince Charles with documents about alien encounters at the London premiere of Star Trek First Contact in 1996. The former A&E medic told the Daily Star the late publisher who was former British intelligence, Gordon Crichton, I've not heard of him before, told me personally that the royal family had received it on a regular basis. Prince Philip and Prince Charles were very interested in it, the magazine, I assume. He told me that he saw it personally, the object, whatever it was, and that they received it. The way it was delivered. That's terrible. Look at that. The way it was delivered. The way it was delivered was in an unmarked envelope. You see that guy? A bit of a grammar error there.
Oh yes.
They wanted it to keep it quiet. Dr. Greer added, "You can trace this back to the event when the object landed in Lord Mountbatten's place." Now, I must admit, I have never ever heard of a UFO supposedly landing in the grounds of Lord Mountbatten. It's not something I've ever come across before. But according to this guy, that's exactly what happened. Lord Mountbatten was killed by an IRA bomb in 1979, which you may well know about.
Yes.
Dr. Greer, who lives near Washington, D.C., also claimed to be receiving a glowing note from Charles' secretary after providing him with the ET dossier. We should definitely get Mr. Greer on and challenge him to produce this document, and let's see how true it is, because I'm suspicious. Anyway, he said a briefing I put together for President Clinton was handed off by a famous movie star called James Cromwell, who of course was actually in Star Trek. That's an opening in London at the request of Prince Charles. It was a lot of technical data. It dealt with the government documents that were collected in actual scientific cases. I got a lovely note back from Prince Charles' secretary for the briefing materials that I provided. I'm not going to read the rest of this, but basically, what do you think, guys? Is it believable?
I'm inclined to say no as far as the spaceship landing, because I don't care how good you are, you can't hide stuff like that. Because it would have been seen from in the surrounding area as well.
I would certainly have thought so. I do find it incredibly hard to believe.
So somebody would have been talking about it.
Absolutely, and the idea that, I mean, if Prince Charles was receiving it secretly, how do you want Mr. Greer going on, Dr. Greer, sorry, blurbing it off to the press that he apparently was giving this magazine? I mean, we all know that Prince Charles has had some certain more, shall we say, interesting ideas in the past, and he likes to talk to plants, nothing wrong with that, but to go from that to being an advocate of UFOs and wanting UFO magazine, then I just don't see it as being likely to have the time or inclination, and certainly not his Prince Charles, Prince Philip, his dad. I can't see him having any really interest in it. I mean, the guy may have seen oddities during World War II when he was a Navy captain, but I'm not convinced at all. And if you do get I should say Dr. Greer, sorry, get him onto the show, I'd love to actually ask him about that and see what he says. But we shall see. Okay, next little story. Moving away from the UFOs to this rather interesting little tale, which is just going to appear on my screen in a second. A priest died and met God, and she's a woman. Today's claim on the internet, but it's been rubbished by a spokesperson for the Archbishop of Boston. Unverified reports said that Father John Michael O'Neill, 71, is a Catholic priest from the Boston diocese who suffered a massive heart attack and died for 48 minutes. During that time, it is alleged that he went to heaven before being brought back by the doctors in Massachusetts. However, Terence Donnellan, a spokesman for the Archbishop of Boston, has dismissed the report as a hoax. Speaking to metro.co.uk, he said, "We do not have a priest of this name. I believe this is a hoax story." Reports had described how the priest was engulfed by a feeling of unconditional love as he met God, who he described as a mother-like being of light. It says mother-like being of light, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a woman. But he broadly said her presence was both overwhelming and comforting. She had a soft, soothing voice, and her presence was reassuring as a mother's embrace. The fact that God is a holy mother instead of a holy father doesn't disturb me. She is everything I hoped she would be, and even more. That was quite nice. Well, sounds like a big bogus, but quite nice.
It's not exactly a new concept, is it?
No. The only bit that was missing was the idea that she's black, which is what I have heard before. I mean, you guys know I have certain belief systems of my own, but I think even if you are a Christian, I don't think you necessarily would these days say that God is a man, God is a presence of all encompassing power as far as the average Christian is. So I think a very, very old-fashioned Christian ideal would be to say whether it's male or female, but I suppose perhaps it is out there. I mean, I know some of the translations themselves don't necessarily point to it being he or a she in the Bible, including possibilities of talking about there being the they of God, rather than just an individual being. So it's all down to sort of modern interpretation, or should we say medieval interpretation, then modern twists put upon it. But what do you think, guys? God or woman?
Well, what was that film with Matt and Ben? They did
Dogma.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Good film.
They put it through in that God may be female.
Yeah, God was Alanis Morissette, I do believe.
I do believe so. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good film. Rather strange, but I enjoyed it. It's a bit kind of gory and violent, but I thought it was good fun. Dogma. Anybody who fancy a bit of a laugh? It's good and worth seeing. Okay, my next little story takes us into the world of conspiracies. Now, I'm interested in conspiracies. I like them. I find them interesting. Some are quite believable, like JFK. Some are maybe not, and some are downright wacky. And here is the downright wacky. There we go. I found this completely by accident. It's not new, but I thought it was worth reporting.
I like a bit of wacky.
Was Paul McCartney replaced with the CIA in large letters in late 1966, August? They're basically the thrust of it, and I'm going to read the whole thing because it's quite long, was that in actual fact, in August 1966, Paul McCartney was replaced by a CIA spy and an impersonator, because apparently, of course, the Beatles never performed live again after that date. Well, apart from the fact they did this live show on top of some studio somewhere, so that kind of rules that bit out. But the guy goes on with all sorts of information, videos. The claims show that the Beatle person who was Paul McCartney looked strangely different to the previous one. That some of the facial features seem to have changed, and I'm looking and thinking, I can't see a damn thing different. It looks exactly the same to me. Not any alteration whatsoever. There's one image a little further down that kind of, because of the angle, and you think maybe that's possible. The one that's directly beneath the picture of Paul McCartney in recent times, there's a picture of left and right, And there's a little difference, I suppose. And part of it's the angle, part of the fact that the Paul McCartney on the left probably has a bit more weight. But the facial expression looks quite different. The eyes are a bit different. But generally speaking, I think it's lunacy to say that that's a different person other than the real original Paul McCartney. I think the darkest conspiracy around the Beatles of all is how the hell Paul McCartney's hair stayed that colour all this life. But I found this one quite amusing.
I can't remember where I read it, but I even read once that when Paul McCartney died, back then he was replaced by an alien.
Oh, even better. This is just a CIA look-alike, but an alien's even better. It's even more believable. But yeah, it was just an interesting little site that someone spent a lot of time obviously working and writing this out and clipping on the YouTube clips, and you think, get a life. There are real serious conspiracies of nastiness that go on in the world that we know about. Let's not waste time worrying about the Beatles being aliens or being shot to CIA agents. I mean, why would they bother? You know, it might explain why Paul McCartney's music on its own is by and large pretty rubbish, I think. But beyond that, I find it a little hard to believe, really. Anyway, that's my conspiracy for the week. Here's my last one, and this is my little favourite. Well, I'm going to introduce from now on with my silly video of the week. Having gone from looking at dark UFO clips to another YouTube clip of silliness, have a look at this and tell me what you think, guys. There we go, there's the link. It's very short, it'll always be short, so I'll be spending hours watching video footage. This is my silly video of the week. There's a bit of profanity, which I do apologise for, but here we go. Dragon flying over England. Here we go, look at that. Can you see the dragon? My lord, it looks so realistic. I really am convinced by this dragon. I don't think. And then it's gone. Doing slowed down video footage. I mean, I don't know what that is. Bad CGI, maybe. It's pouring with rain. I doubt it's a cloud. I doubt it's a kite or a sort of toy-light aircraft type thing. I think it's just a bit of CGI work. But yes, there we go. There's over 4,500 comments about it.
Well, the first thing that would make me very suspicious about this flying creature is that it seems to have very stiff wings.
Indeed, yes, they don't move very well at all, do they?
No.
And I mean, the whole ratio of body weight to wingspan and sort of size of area that it catches under the air would mean that would fall out the sky pretty damn fast. Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was quite good.
Let's face it, even prehistoric birds didn't fly like that.
Well, no, definitely not. I mean, it's kind of almost doggy paddling through the air, really, isn't it, the way it's flying? But it's interesting that we find some video footage popping up. I mean, the dragon itself reminded me a little bit of one in Harry Potter, and I wonder if it's inspired by the Harry Potter dragon, of course, in the last but one film, last book. So maybe that's where it's come from. But there is well, again, as you know, with YouTube, when something stops, you get a series of smaller squares. You can click on one to show another piece of video footage, and there appears to be another clip of a supposed flying dragon that flies across, which, again, this is about as convincing as the first one, but yeah, I find it quite fun. But there you go, that's my little roundup of the strange and the sinister and the UFOs and the conspiracies and what have you. Well, so there you go, guys. Back over to you.
Thank you, Andy.
Yes, definitely. Cheers for that, Andy.
Right, all right.
So,
as you can see, Susie's got a visitor.
I have.
Yes, and Mog. My God. Alien Mog attack.
Alien Mog attack. So, I don't know. Every bloody week. Well, near enough every week now. So,
So, where's your Tuppenn'th, Sue? We're missing your Tuppenn'th.
I haven't got one tonight. Oh, I suppose my Tuppenn'th would have been the Endless Love. That would have been my Tuppenn'th. So I can put that on my tweet that I can put in there my Tuppenn'th. So that's my Tuppenn'th.
Yeah, Tuppence worth.
My Tuppence worth.
Yes, we had a discussion in the audience in the week of exactly what the phrase was going to be with this Tuppenn'th. We got to Conquers of Knowledge, which I quite like, but that was another story entirely.
Conquers of Knowledge.
This full-bearing pearls of wisdom. It started off, didn't it?
It did.
Full-bearing thinking and the conquers of knowledge.
What did we actually decide on? I can't remember now. It wasn't
weird moments. I think
it wasn't Tuppenn'th.
It was weird moments.
Weird moments. Yeah.
The weird moments.
I'm having a weird moment.
Yeah, we was actually wondering how many people actually knew what a Tuppenn'th was.
Quite an old phrase. It's an old-fashioned phrase.
So,
Just going back a little bit tonight on to Stephen's guest. I am always intrigued to talk to mediums about the origins of their communication and information that they're getting. I mean, as you guys all know, I make no bones about it, I'm nowhere a Christian. So for me to be told that angels are telling me this and that, I find troubling because of my sort of world view, if you like, universal view. Angels don't exist other than in our deep psyche, which is where I would always say that this information comes from. For me, I mean, again, Alison even creating her own angel card, fascinating idea, but I think it demonstrates again that these things tend to be props for the communication rather than necessary part of communication. And I've got the feeling that she should be reading from her own descriptions rather than sort of giving her own intuitive sense of what she's picking up, which again is absolutely fine. But I do find that it's an interesting area about where people get their information from. I find I've spoken to one very much a Hindu mystic who does sort of fortune telling, if you like, and for him, it's just the universe that gives him answers. There's no set beings or life forms or creatures or angels or anything. It's the universe itself that provides that information to his higher self, which is very much part of the Hindu mythology and belief system, if you like. And then he communicates that to his lower self, which then he gives to the world around him. Which for me, prior to even my conversion, if you like, to Advaita Vedanta, which is my faith, is how I would have viewed it anyway. I've always tried to keep away from terminology like guardian angels and spirits like that. Not that I have any problem with it for other people, but I preferred my own personal interpretation. For my own experiences, I've never had anything whispering in my ear, off maybe Mandy at night, but beyond that, nothing supernatural, paranormal whispered in my ear or giving me advice or information. It's just a sense of this is what I'm feeling, this is what comes to me. Occasionally you do on investigations, I get what I can show about as other voices speaking to, but I'm very clear in my own mind that it is somebody else's voice. It's not my mad subconscious going bananas. It's coming from somewhere else in terms of the information. I will try to present that as accurately as I can, but I wouldn't say there's a particular being that's giving me the information. It's just it's coming from external to my consciousness, from what I was a collective unconscious, that kind of deep awareness. And I'm rattling on again, like I always do.
No, I think you're to a point there. You're right. I mean, the problems with saying things like angels and stuff is it automatically takes on a religious what's the word?
Yeah, connotation. Absolutely, that's the problem. I think the fact of the matter is because the modern notion of mediumship and psychic awareness, if you like, comes really from the Victorian times with the seances and the Theosophical Society, the Spiritist Church's birth. That's very, very seated in Christianity and Catholic, in Protestant Christianity, obviously, because Catholicism, Catholicism doesn't particularly like the idea at all. But the Spiritist Church movement, say, comes from the sort of late Victorian times, all around the same time as Theosophists and other such new wave of belief that came about when the world expanded, really, and became more aware of things like India and the Far East, became much more directly connected with those places. And a lot of the ideas that come from sort of Middle East and Near East communication, from connections, if you like. So we are, in some ways, still very caught up in the Victorian notion of spiritualism and spirit mediums and angels and energies such as that talking to us, rather than the more kind of worldly sort of universe talking to us kind of approach that's somewhat different, but it still produces essentially the same results, but it's kind of thought of a little differently in terms of communication that's the universe rather than Fred Bloggs who's just popped his clothes, or your angel Raphael, or angel Gabriel, or one angel that Alison mentioned I've never actually heard of before. So like Ralph or something. I didn't quite catch it.
Raphael.
Raphael.
Oh, no, Raphael.
I must admit though,
there was one before that I'd never heard of before. No, I know angels. I don't know angels personally. I know the occult, which they do.
There are actually quite a few angels. I'll have to send you them. So.
Oh, I know. Don't get me wrong, still. I used to be a ceremonial magician. I know angels like the back of my hand. But there was one she mentioned whose name I didn't recognise. Early on she mentioned it. Now, whether she mispronounced it or what, I don't know. But it wasn't one I was familiar with.
I've got a list here somewhere. But
yeah, I think looking at angels as being beings of light and energy, it's an easier way of doing it, I think.
Yeah.
Instead of saying actual angels.
There are actually 15 archangels. I've just found it. You've got Ariel,
I know them.
Azrael, yeah. Shamiel,
Shamael.
yeah. Gabriel, Haniel, Jeremiah, Jophiel,
A lot of them end.
yeah, Metatron,
A lot of them end in IL, EL.
Michael, Ragwil, Raphael,
Raphael.
No, Ragwil and Raphael.
Ragael, yeah.
Yeah. Raziel, Sandalphon.
Shemaphoron, yeah.
Yeah, and Uriel.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and Zadkiel.
Yeah, exactly. They're not names. That is none of. Blah, blah, blah. I'm speaking in tongues.
And that's just the main ones.
That was one of the ones. Oh God, English. She mentioned the name of one that's not on that list I've never heard before. Now, whether to say it was a bad mispronunciation, I don't know, but I'm going to replay it when you show up and check, because it wasn't a name I recognised.
Right.
There are, if you're working with the classic Judeo-Christian angel list, there are far more than 15, but it wasn't one I recognised.
Right, okie dokie.
I was interested to know, because the fact is I'm not saying Alison's done this, but there are some angel writers who have invented some angels that just don't exist.
I actually think that when it comes to, as I say, when it comes to things like this, people look on what they want to, like Steve said, the way they want to believe it. If somebody wants to look on a higher being, an angel, their guides, it's the way they interpretate it.
That's the point I was really trying to make earlier on. That's why I asked her the question I asked specifically about that. But it's just that I'd say I know of one particular writer whose name has escaped me. It's Alison, who has written a couple of books and their own do divination work themselves, which includes names of angels that they have made up themselves, that they have communicated with them directly. And this is what this person has said, and they're not names you'll find on the classic list anywhere. I was just wondering if perhaps Alison's had a similar experience, shall we say, or, I'm saying this person not sat down and thought, let's invent some angel names, because I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that they've had communications that may be something completely separate, completely different.
Have you read Paranormality?
Yeah.
Why we see what we...
That man to me. Don't you mention that man to me.
God. Spitting feathers now.
He's the worst one of the lot. He knows damn well this stuff exists, but he's spent his career building a career around the concept that the paranormal is nothing but the human brain, and he knows damn well it's not. I can't say an awful lot. I'm not being Mr. Security, Mr. Mysterious, but someone I used to be involved with, you've worked with quite a bit with, back in the 1980s, was approached by the then fairly unknown Richard Wiseman, working on his PhD, and asked to be involved in some of the research my friend was doing. And my friend said, yes, you're more than welcome to come and join us on some of the research we're doing into the effects of ultrasound. And he demonstrated what ultrasound can actually do to you. My friend did, and Mr. Wiseman was quite impressed, and he pointed out that is that all it can do? Primarily, yes, it is. All it can do is create that odd feeling, because you get a feeling in your lower abdomen, which is caused by a release of certain body chemistry, which then gives you that feeling that there's something nearby, you're in some kind of danger. That is all that you could ever prove from ultrasound. He then took Mr. Wiseman on a number of investigations, and some of the things that occurred included objects moving by themselves and EVP sound recorded very clearly, very precisely, related to the location. So it wasn't radio signals. There was no one in the location. It was taped off. It was monitored, and the recordings were absolutely real. And Wiseman's reaction was something along the lines of, "Oh crap, that really ruins my research," and said, "I'm going to have to pretend we never had this meeting together." And that is the absolute truth. So Wiseman knew full well there is far more to the paranormal than what he would like there to be in his books and his writing of his PhD, but has to deny it because it doesn't suit his PhD. And that's all I'll say about that. Okay. So don't mention him to me.
Now, just before we go, Andy, I think we should just let, and people have realised that, you're now part of the show permanently.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think we should let people know exactly what you're about. You know what I mean? Okay, I know we've had you on various times talking about various topics and stuff like that, because you are in the know, obviously. But there's more to you than meets the eye, isn't there? You are a parapsychologist.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Not just a hypnotherapist. Yeah.
No. psychotherapist.
Basically, tell us a bit about you, your background. You know what I mean? So that people know that you're not just talking a load of baloney.
Viscount's turned up. He's never got me. He always does. What can I say? You could have a whole bleeding show talking about myself, which I could do quite happily. Where do we start? Let's go back to the beginning. I first became involved in investigating the paranormal back in the late 80s. I'm probably a bit older than people might think I am, but I was involved for a while with a guy called Andy Collins, who was investigating a chap called the Black Alchemist around the Essex area, which involved the occult and supernatural activity. Basically, I got quite involved from that. I initially went along because I thought it was a load of baloney. I must admit, I really did think it was all nonsense. But the more I experienced, the more I thought, no, there's something to this. Even though when I was a kid, I actually had a couple of odd experiences myself, when I often tell the story of when I was about 9 years old, visiting a local country park called Coalhouse Fort with an old fort in the grounds. My brother and I were in the grounds playing football with some kids, and I noticed two men walk past in strange uniforms. I described it. I was about 10 years old. What I described was men in brown, greeny brown uniform, boots on with like strapping around their legs, which I later found out many years later was a World War I style uniform. So I saw a ghost when I was about 10 years old. So I had a couple of experiences, but I was more kind of scientific in those days when I was in my sort of early 20s, very much into philosophy and didn't really think there was an awful lot to this kind of stuff. But I went along to Andy Collins' talk about the Black Alchemist and the book he'd recently written, which involved himself and a medium that had run-ins with this guy who was working, shall we say, black magic. And the number of artifacts that they had collected and gathered on their experiences with the Black Alchemist were actually on show at the talk Andy gave. It wasn't a very big audience, 30 people or so. And we were given the chance to handle the objects after the talk. And I picked up one particular one, which was called the Spear, which had various occult symbols, which I didn't know at the time, but now know very well. And I felt a jolt. I can only describe it as real energy, and it was like holding the both ends of a battery. You know what I mean? That kind of sparking jolt. Oh, bloody hell! This is real. I can really feel this. From there, I'd met a couple of friends of Andy's, a guy called Richard Ward, who I'm now very good friends with, and other people who were involved, and took it from there. Really started to read books on the occult and the supernatural, but was more into the occult side of stuff. Got involved in what's called ceremonial or high magic. Joined a group which is like a modern version of the Golden Dawn, which now no longer exists, unfortunately. The Golden Dawn was an older organization from the 1800s, which splintered into many different versions of the Golden Dawn. I joined one for a while and wasn't particularly impressed by that. I then joined a group called the OTO, which is an Aleister Crowley-based group. Again, wasn't particularly impressed by them. They seemed to spend more time having parties and getting drunk than doing any real magic. So I became much more of a solo practitioner. So that was my magical background, shall we say. So studied the occult for 30 years. I know it very well. But professionally, I was always interested in the mind and consciousness. I went to university eventually, a bit later than most people went, in my late 20s, to study philosophy, got a degree in philosophy, but mine was mainly focused on the concepts of consciousness and the mind, so it's really been my field of interest. So I went from that to working in London, not particularly enjoying it. I thought I wanted to do something more with my knowledge, if you like, of the mind from my degree, and other sort of more spiritual knowledge, should we say, from studying other occult subjects and studying things like Hinduism, etc. I then trained to be initially a hypnotherapist, a year's training course for that, and then did a couple of years more training on top of that to meet what's known as the minimum required standard of study to qualify myself as a psychotherapist. Psychotherapist is a funny business because you don't just go, well, I'm going to be a psychotherapist, I'll do this course, because it's not a legally recognized term, but you are required to do a certain number of hours of study of psychotherapeutic methodology over the space of a particular period of time before you can say, I am a psychotherapist, and be recognized as being one, as in joining organizations as a psychotherapist, because anybody can call themselves that. But I am a psychotherapist. Parapsychology as a profession doesn't exist. I'll make that one really clear, that people who call themselves that can call themselves that because they can call themselves whatever you like. But there's no definitive real qualification you can do that says I am a parapsychologist, other than courses that people make and invent for themselves, which is perfectly fine, but none of them are externally verified by any institution. The closest you can get to it is Liverpool John Moores University runs a parapsychology course by Kieran O'Keefe, but even that isn't validated by the university he worked for. It's just a course he's invented, which, you say you've done a course written and designed by Kieran O'Keefe, Dr. Kieran O'Keefe, PhD, then that sounds pretty good. But to be a psychotherapist, to be a parapsychologist, it really is your interest, your years of study of the subject. I mean, I say my hand in hand, supernatural, paranormal, and occult for me go hand in hand. There's no separation. They're all about studying the human mind and consciousness, whether it survives after death, what it is, how we work with it. And for me, the real eye-opener has been studying Carl Jung, who I've talked about many times before. Jung's concepts of the collective unconscious and the archetypes, for me, make the most sense in terms of describing what UFOs are, what ghosts are, what much of the paranormal is. It's about our deeper awareness of ourselves and the universe around us, and how our minds are interconnected, and all that kind of stuff. And Viscount, I have had lots of psychotherapy. You have to become one, and I'm still here, and I'm still completely insane, so I'm not right. And TGGH's question, what do I think of ghosts? We could spend an entire show talking about what I think of ghosts. I think they're a real phenomena. I don't think they exist independently of us, but they're not purely in our minds. They're in a strange kind of third place, which is where the whole notion of subject-object relations, which is us and the world around us, completely breaks down. And there's no such thing as subject-object relations. But that is deep philosophy, and people's brains start hurting, and they kind of switch off after about 5 minutes when I start talking about this kind of stuff. So what I would say to you is, yes, I think ghosts are real, but they're not quite what we think they are. They are manifestations of a collected psyche, a collective unconscious. They aren't existing in your head, but they are existing in the real world around us. They are somewhere between the two. And I think aliens are also there. I don't think aliens exist in the nuts and bolts sense of spacecraft from outer space. I think they are manifestations, again, of perhaps parallel universes or energy forces like that. But I read a lot, a hell of a lot. I've got quite a huge library sitting behind me over here, which if I had a webcam on, you could see, but I'm not going to put it on. And I have a large collection of books on the occult, particularly. I also collect them as books, as objects of art, because they are. A lot of them are very limited edition. Some of them I've got very old and quite valuable. But it's given me a broader understanding of the human mind, how it works, and the fact that things like we separate subjects such as UFOs, ghosts, and all that kind of thing into separate areas, where I think they're all part of the same thing. They're all part of us trying to understand the real scale of our minds. There's a writer called Lon Duquette, who writes on the occult, who actually said that this is all in your mind, but you have no idea of how big your mind really is. In other words, it is huge. It's that connected mind. And I can see you two sighing there. Do you want me to shut up?
No, I wasn't sighing, darling. I was going to ask you a question, actually.
No, I'll stop now.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sighing at all.
Yeah. I'm actually reading the chat room.
I wanted to ask. No, it was me. I took a stop and take a breath. What it was, I wanted to ask you about sudden flashbacks to the past, retrocognition. Yeah. Now let's say, for instance, right, you're walking down the road, right, and all of a sudden you see, I'm going to be quite graphic here, a vintage car, very early model with frog-eyed headlights and solid rubber tyres, carrying two passengers dressed as actors in a period film, or so you think. The driver wore a thick leather coat, yellow gloves, and stalking hat. The female passenger is also wearing a leather coat and has secured a large bonnet with a length of filmy gauze. I'm quoting from that Endless Love, This was a strange sight, on this particular road, in Wimbledon, and the guy walked on further for a few more steps, for a few seconds, and then it struck him that he hadn't heard any noise, The car passed by in silence. He turned to look again, but the vehicle and the two occupants had vanished. He was so surprised that he ran back to the corner of the street and looked either way along the main road. The car simply wasn't there. Now, there was no road for him to turn off in the time that he realised and anything. They found out there was no rallies in the area, no filming had been done. There was nothing to explain it. This was on this quiet street. Obviously, we're talking about retrocognition. What do you think to that?
It comes back to two things that I think we've talked about previously on the show that I certainly believe. Time itself doesn't exist in the way we think it does. And I know that Anthony Peake was heading down a similar road himself when we were talking last week. We have a sense of time in terms of linearity, flow of time in the one direction at a steady rate. But what if that's just how we perceive time to be in terms of our own personal experience of time? That perhaps things are happening simultaneously, that in actual fact what you're viewing is just the past in that place, that is only the past in your perspective or the person's perspective. But outside of that, if you could get outside of that, you'd see everything happening at the same time if you were non-linear. So the events that are occurring around you are all of them happening simultaneously. It comes back to that question of, is this one universe and lots of us in the same universe, or is it multiple universes side by side? To me, I think it's a collective unconscious thing, and I'll keep coming back to that. But for some reason, your mind just taps into a moment in time that in the deep psyche, there isn't time. So you're tapping into an event that's occurring simultaneously to your presence at that location. Therefore, you're seeing what appears to you to be an event from the past. In actual fact, the event's happening simultaneously in the deep unconscious because it's all simultaneous. So the short answer is you're seeing back in time, but with your mind's eye. That's why there's no noise and no physical evidence of that, what you've just witnessed. It's like when as I was saying last time, why I very much can go into locations, old buildings, and I can see events of the past. I'm not seeing the past. I'm seeing the events as they occurred, but they are imprinted onto the local energy field, EM field. And that's what the mind is picking up on. It gets a bit complicated when you start talking about two-way communication, because I do see that happening sometimes. And indeed, I've heard a voice reply and heard what I think is a reply back. But if my question, which I speak out in the physical world around me, is also echoing down into the deep unconscious, and the being, if you like, exists in that deep unconscious or has a consciousness within that level of awareness, then they might well be communicating back. I mean, a good example of what I'm kind of talking about, although it's more personalized, is I often have people who have had difficult issues with a parent who may have passed on, died basically, years before. But I get them to talk to that person in their either imagination or perhaps imagine them in a chair opposite. It's called Gestalt therapy, but I also use elements where it's using hypnosis, and I get them to have a conversation with that person who has died years before. And the person will respond because partly you know how they would respond because you know the person. But sometimes the response comes as a surprise. You ask Granny Smith, a question, and she says something different to what you were expecting her to say. Now, the part of that is you do carry an unconscious representation of everybody you've met that you know who influenced you, because that's how it works. Your mind has those people within you. But it could also be that there's a deeper level of awareness where that person has a continued existence of some kind, and you could be tapping into that. I honestly don't know which one it is. There's no way of knowing which one it is. If you're spiritually minded, you might think that. If you're purely clinically minded, you would say, well, it's just a subconscious representation of the person that you're communicating with, that they are active and alive in your unconscious because you keep them alive because you think of them. If you think now of someone who's passed away, you can imagine them walking around. You can imagine you having a conversation with them. You can imagine how they might react to something you've done because you know that person. Now, is it just that you're working with your own imagination and memory, or is there a deeper awareness of that person's personality still existing at some level? Okay. I don't know. And I think, as certainly Anthony Peake was saying something similar, and I think those not intrinsically in Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious is not that far away to extend it to include the idea of a post-living consciousness still occupying the deep psyche. That it's possible. Okay, and that would, if that exists, then you have the origin of ghosts, you have the origin of anything paranormal, because it's something existing deep within the psyche. It could be that we're talking about creatures, not creatures, that's the wrong word. We're talking about personality, energies that have never been physically alive, but yet still exist at that level. Now, I'm not talking about demons in the classic sense at all.
Right.
I'm talking about the idea of transhuman consciousness. It's possible. I mean, I'm not saying I definitely believe this. It's just that all the years of studying information I've worked with, it suggests there's something. You can't say there's nothing because it would be ludicrous to say there's nothing going on. There's something.
Okie dokie.
I think it was last week that either you or our guest mentioned that somebody had a meal in a restaurant that didn't exist.
Yeah, absolutely. That was me. It was a friend of mine who doesn't necessarily like people talking about it because he finds it a bit embarrassing, but he said basically him and his girlfriend went to in Camden, an Indian restaurant, had a meal, he bought some books. They were on the way back to the tube station, realised he'd forgotten the books, walked back to where the restaurant was, and it was gone. It was boarded up. It was an empty shop.
Well, it's like
but
TT.
him and his girlfriend were both there. It wasn't like he was on his own. Him and his girlfriend were there together, and they both said the same thing. This is fucking ridiculous. They walked back to the tube station, said, "We're not having this." Walked back. There it was. It was the same street. He said it was the same.
TTGH said that a friend of these went to Birmingham. They passed an Italian restaurant when they parked the car. They came back to it was a nightclub. Didn't even look like an Italian restaurant.
Exactly. I was just about to start typing. I know someone who had a similar kind of experience, but that's like Steve asked him about. And he said he books back, and the Indian restaurant was there. But he said there's absolute that time they went down the street. Yeah, it was dark, but he knows Camden. He said there wasn't many people about, but that shop, the restaurant was gone, and it was a boarded up shop. And he said it was exactly the same place. There's no way it was somewhere different. Yeah, the buildings were the same. But yeah, when they went back, books were there. The restaurant was there. It's ludicrous.
How can you explain something like that?
You can't. You just simply cannot. It does point to the possibility that we are talking about multiverses running in parallel but slightly different to each other. And it is true, Andy, people said last week, you can't get away from, if you're something quantum mechanics, quantum physics, you can't get away from reaching that conclusion, that there are multiverses, that it is potentially possible to be flipped between them. That, he may well have crossed over to another dimension or another version of reality, and his other self from that reality will switch places as well. Or they both did. Why? How? Who? Where? Oh, God knows. How the mechanics allow. Who knows at the moment? Maybe someday in the future we will understand that. I mean, that to me comes in under the bracket of preternatural. We will find an explanation for it someday. But supernatural is just beyond explanation. It's always outside.
Can you imagine what would have happened in this other universe if he had actually written something on the boards? And people are seeing it at the other the other end, actually just seeing the writing appear.
Yeah.
Well, is it possible that kind of event could actually occur? I mean, I've alluded briefly back last week to a book called The Vertical Plane, which I then dug out and reread some of in the intervening week, where basically a guy from medieval times was seeing this strange object on his desk and had buttons on it and was pressing them and started typing messages. And you think, well, what's going on there? Is it an alternate reality? And the guy came to you from the 1500s, and how the hell he would know how to use a keyboard is a total mystery, of course, from someone from that kind of time period. But the idea of that kind of communication just suddenly appearing, who knows,
This is it. Well, that's it for another show.
Yeah, that's I bet that was weird. What Ghost Rider there.
So
I remember seeing actually on one of those programs more about the Bermuda Triangle than anything else, but the guy flew over what he thought was the landing site. It was completely different. It was how it used to look in the past. And maybe what he was thinking of, that they couldn't communicate with the plane, couldn't communicate with the ground, and so it just looked completely weird. And found out later that's how the landing ship used to look many years ago, and gave up and flew around again. And it was back to normal.
Well, that's about it for tonight, I'm afraid, guys. It's time for us to round up. And just to remind you, next week we have Larry Warren on the show. Also, to not forget that this is your show as well. Remember, if you have anything you'd like to suggest to us, any guests, then you can contact us at show, SHOW, at ktpf.co.uk. That's our new email address. We are always open to discuss any specific areas of this genre, including ghosts, monsters, psychic phenomena, and other supernatural and unexplained mysteries. Remember, this is your show too, so get involved. Don't forget our new magazine that's coming out. If you have any articles you'd like to send in, whether it be on haunted locations or on your paranormal group, or maybe about technology, Ace Paradox, whether there's something like that you'd like to contribute to us at publisher@ktpf.co.uk. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's show, and we look forward to having your company again next week at 8 p.m. on www.ktpf.co.uk. Thank you for listening to the KTPF Community Talk Show, supported by Phenomena Magazine and Beyond Parazine, and sponsored by
Dragonos Castle, South Wales, one of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including fright nights, all-night investigations, and hen parties, visit www.mosthauntedcastle.com.
So until next time, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from her.
It's good night from them.
Thanks a lot, Andy, for your input tonight, and see you again next week. And,
Indeed.
And don't forget, everybody,
keep the
Paranormal
paranormal
friendly.
friendly. Good night and God bless.
Good night, guys.
This is where it's at.
To see in the night, to measure the spike, to see how cold it's been. I buy my kit so I won't forget the ghosties that I have seen. The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.